Okay, breaking news. It's the one that we've all been dreading. Iran has responded. It's official. Just minutes ago, reports have come out that Iran has fired several missiles towards a number of US bases and the ones that we have confirmed right now is in Qatar, and the other one is in Iraq.
Today we're looking at TikToks that will make you question everything.
Science now says that reincarnation might not just be fiction. After 50 years of data and thousands of case studies, here's the evidence behind past lives and how that can change our understanding of reality forever.
Thank you to all the channel members for support. If y'all are seeing this video right now, smash that like button. We're on our road to 100k subs, so make sure to also smash that subscribe button. Also got sponsored this digital calendar. It's not on right now, but it's actually one of the cooler calendars I've ever had. I'm gonna have a link for this down in the description if you guys want to buy it.
Yo, look at this family, a work of art. Each thread is strong from the start.
But screw the delay and let's hop into the video. Let's go.
That we just need to wake up and just look at what's happening, because we can't just ignore it, because it's going to get worse and worse if we just keep ignoring it and pushing it away like, oh, that's nothing. There was mason jars, and they were brand new, sterilized, and that's what we catch the rain in. And then there was a HEPA filter that we tested the air with.
Okay, so you caught rain and then you basically filtered air. What did you find?
Aluminum and barium.
Here's another test that's revealing 375,000 parts per million aluminum, barium at 3,090, and strontium at 345.
Yeah, that's from a lined pond.
With EPDM fish safe pond liner. There is no chemicals, manufacturing materials at all in that pond liner that's available to the aquatic life. It's designed for that purpose. The well that feeds this pond has been tested and retested. ND, no detectable aluminum, zero. The only other place this pond can receive water is rainfall. We are located on a filtered, forested hilltop, miles and miles and miles away from any industry, highway, and so forth. After several heavy spray days, there was a film that we received formed on the surface of the water, and we tested that crust, and it was aluminum and barium. That after a year and a half's accumulation had 375,000 parts per billion of aluminum in it. It's literally toxic. We can say conclusively that what we see in the sky matches expressly what's outlined in numerous patents, and the materials on the ground match those patents.
Shower thoughts that will make you question everything. If you remove any one letter from the word see, you still have an actual word. There is no proof that we all actually see the same colours, so what you see as red could actually be green for someone else. We know that yawning is contagious, so maybe you started a chain of yawns which has lasted for years, or even longer. You have already listened to a song for the last time ever. What? You don't ever actually own water. We all just borrow it, really. You drink it, pee it, then it gets cleaned, and then ends up in another bottle which someone else drinks. It's actually physically impossible for you to watch a full movie, because we're always constantly blinking.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
I always thought the way to become rich and never worry about money again was to just get a good job. So I went to college, became a software engineer, and 3 weeks into my first job, my entire perspective changed. They laid off 25 people. There were 50-year-old men walking out of their office crying because they had no clue where they were going to get the money to pay their mortgage or pay for their kids' tuition because they have no other source of income. And so that's when I realized the dumbest thing I could do was rely on just the job for income, especially because its fate is almost entirely controlled by someone else. At the time, I was 22, but I knew I didn't want to end up like them when I was 50. So that's when I started learning about real estate investing. In a little bit less than 2 years of starting, I was able to get 13 units and build up passive income streams that almost would replace my first full-time job.
Yeah, that is a scarier part about having a job sometimes. Is like sometimes you can get laid off and then you have no other source of income. But at the same time, if you truly do have a skill, like he's saying a software engineer or even like a nurse, there's a lot more people that would definitely take you.
I am so sick
of seeing TikToks worried about Iran attacking America. Someone came into my Twitch stream saying they're worried Dallas was going to get nuked. I saw another TikTok saying Chicago was going to get bombed, and Trump said to evacuate the city, and it showed a line of cars on the highway. None of that is real. Iran doesn't have nukes. They were trying to get them and were getting close to having them, so that's why Israel and America attacked them before they could get nukes. Iran also does not have a single missile that can reach America. Its longest range missile can barely reach Europe, and the Iranians aren't going to hit Europe. The worst the Iranians could do is attack America's military bases in Syria, and that's what's most likely to happen. Although Israel has destroyed so many of the Iranian missile launcher vehicles that it's going to be hard for Iran to use any of its missiles. So please, stop believing news that you don't get from a mainstream source or someone like me that's reporting what a mainstream source says. We're not getting into World War III. Everyone needs to calm down.
He's saying everyone needs to calm down, like we're still not on the verge of World War III. Like, there's, what is it, Russia versus Ukraine. China was talking about invading Taiwan. Israel versus Iran. Wasn't Israel going against Palestine? Why is Israel versing everybody? I think today too, Iran did strike back, and I think they bombed, like they tried to bomb a US base in Qatar. I think there's a video in this compilation that talks about that.
With your permission, I hope this will be the most correct answer to your question. I do not wish to even discuss such a possibility. Once we offered to our Iranian friends to work together in the sphere of the air defense systems. The partners did not show much interest then, and that is it. The Strategic Partnership Treaty which you have mentioned does not include any clause linked with defense area. This is number 2. And the third, our Iranian friends have not asked us about this, so there is nothing to discuss.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
Spare me 2 minutes of your life. I'll change the way you think about the brain forever. Deal? Here's a brain cell. Inside and outside of all your brain cells, there are ions, like sodium and potassium. These are just little particles that carry an electrical charge. Please don't leave. I know this is terrible. It'll be worth it. So these ions carry an electrical charge, right? In this case, it's positive. And these ions are always crossing the cell membrane. If they go into the cell becomes more positive. If they go out, the cell becomes more negative. So this black line represents the electrical charge of a brain cell over time. And you can see that this neuron is becoming very positively charged and then coming back down. This is what brain cells do when they're active. They spike or they fire. It's called an action potential. This right here is how your brain does everything. This is how you think and how you move and how you feel. But to be able to do this, your brain cells need to stay at this baseline level, which is actually negative. It's negative 70 millivolts. So what the hell does that mean? Well, that means that there are more positively charged ions outside of the cell than there are inside of the cell. So the cell's negatively charged relative to the space around it. To stay negative like that, your brain cells are constantly spitting out these sodium ions to stay negative. They want these out. They're going, ugh, get it out. How does that happen? Great question. On the cell membrane, there's a pump that kicks out 3 sodium for every 2 potassium it takes in, resulting in a net charge of -1. And this pump uses energy, a lot of energy. In fact, it's estimated to account for about 55% of the brain's total energy usage. Your brain is estimated to use about 20% of your body's energy. That means that theoretically, at any given moment, about 10% of all of your body's energy is being used by this pump in your brain cells. Just treading water. Just working all the time to hold your brain cell at a negative state at -70 millivolts so that when your brain cell is called upon to spike like this, it can do its job. Think about that. Just take a moment to appreciate all of the tiny, miraculous, and beautiful phenomena that are occurring in your brain cells all the time, just so that you can do the things that you do, like watch a TikTok. And of course, follow for more neuroscience.
The reality is, when we go to the beach, sharks are around us far more than we're even aware of. Take these 2 people, for example, who are completely unsuspecting and never even realize that they have this large great hammerhead within arm's reach of them. Now, to many of you, this would be extremely unsettling, and I understand that. But to me, it's comforting, because the reality is, for as high a degree of spatial overlap that there is between humans and sharks, there are very little antagonistic encounters unprovoked. So that means, to me, the key to human-shark coexistence is not avoiding sharks completely and never going to the beach ever again in your life, but realizing that sharks really are not interested in us. They have other things on their mind. They have way better things to do than bother us. So if we don't bother them, everything's going to be fine. So just keep that in mind. Do what suits you, but
the US launched major strikes against Iran, obliterating their nuclear facilities, but Trump warned that if Iran dares to retaliate, then we will do these things to completely destroy their military. Trump announced that B-2 stealth bombers dropped 6 of the US's most powerful non-nuclear weapons on Iran. These so-called massive ordnance penetrators, each weighing 30,000 pounds, reduced 3 of Iran's most secure and advanced nuclear facilities to rubble. However, immediately after the strikes, Trump stated that this is not the start of a new war, with lawmakers confirming that no US troops will set foot on the ground, and the White House publicly urging Iran to quickly accept peace terms. But in response, Iran has done the exact opposite and instead promised to harshly retaliate against US military bases within striking distance in the Middle East, to which Trump responded by saying that if they do anything to harm US troops, then he will command the Air Force to conduct a total and final strike, dismantling the entirety of Iran's military.
Is the United States now at war with Iran?
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And let me just say, Kristen, that we're incredibly grateful and proud of the American Air Force pilots who did an incredible job last night. The operation was really extraordinary. These guys flew from Missouri. They didn't land a single time. They dropped 30,000-pound bombs on a target the size of a washing machine, and then got back home safely without ever landing in the Middle East or ever stopping other than to briefly refuel. And of course, they did that in the air. So it's really an incredible operation, a testament to the power of American military. And I think what shows what can happen when you have that great American military in the hands of capable presidential leadership. What we did is we destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. I think we set that program back substantially, and we did it without endangering the lives of the American pilots. That's an incredible thing, and I think we all should be proud. Whatever our politics, we should be proud of what these guys accomplished. A very, very high-impact mission under a lot of pressure.
We have a breaking news update. The U.S. State Department just issued a worldwide caution for Americans following the U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. The alert warns that traveling could be disrupted worldwide and Americans could face threats or backlash in countries where anti-U.S. sentiments is rising. In a public statement, the State Department said, quote, "There is a potential for demonstrations against U.S. citizens and interests abroad. Airspace has been closed over parts of the Middle East, flights have been delayed or rerouted through other regions, and security has been tightened around embassies and consulates. The alert doesn't mean U.S. citizens are in immediate danger, but it means that the government sees a growing risk of violent retaliation or targeted protests. If you are an American traveling abroad, check the State Department websites, avoid large crowds, stay in touch with embassies, and keep a low profile. This is the first time a worldwide caution has been issued since the escalation in Iran began." Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Substack for all breaking news, all breaking updates, the full story, and all reports.
So I'm supposed to be in the city tomorrow, and I'm kind of just like, I don't even want to go to this city, dude. Like, after hearing him dropping bombs on Iran and stuff, I'm like, I don't think I want to go to any city. Not Miami, not Tampa. I mean, Tampa I feel like would be chill. Not NYC, not Dallas, not DC, not Cali or LA. I don't think I want to go to any city.
Science now says that reincarnation might not just be fiction. After 50 years of data and thousands of case studies, here's the evidence behind past lives and how that can change our understanding of reality forever. A recent study reviewed decades of data of children remembering their past lives. And this was the strongest case. A boy named Paulo was born in Brazil in 2013, and at the age of 6, he told something to his mom that no one told him before. He said, "I was at work, a thief shot me, the bullet hit my head, and then I died. And the most remarkable thing about this case wasn't the fact that Paulo described details about being his granduncle, who also happened to be murdered decades before Paulo's birth. Paulo was born with a rare birth defect where he had a cavity in his skull compatible to where the gunshot wound would have been. And Paulo's case matches 50 years of data of other children remembering their past lives, with over 60% of cases ending in violent deaths, with birthmarks that match the fatal wounds. Key takeaway here is that the evidence behind reincarnation goes against conventional materialistic science and adds to the argument that consciousness goes beyond our body.
Just moments ago, the U.S. government announced that America will have an above-average hurricane season. We are expecting 13 to 19 named storms, 6 to 10 of which will become hurricanes, and 3 to 5 of those may grow to major hurricanes of Category 3 or stronger. This is exceptionally bad news because Donald Trump and Elon Musk have fired many critical people.
If humans evolved from apes, then why do apes still exist? If Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon, who took the famous photo of him stepping onto it? NASA, one of the most advanced space agencies, somehow lost the original recordings of the moon landing. Lost them. One of humanity's greatest achievements, gone. How? And if walking on the moon was so easy in 1969, why haven't we gone back? Why did 56 countries, rivals, enemies, superpowers, all agree to one thing? That no one can freely explore Antarctica. What's there? What are they hiding? How did ancient civilizations without modern tools build structures so perfect they still can't be replicated today? Why do Egyptian artifacts show images that look like spacecraft? Why do dragons appear in every ancient culture, across every continent, and even in the Bible? Coincidence? And why is there a connection between the pineal gland, the so-called third eye, and the pine cone symbols found in ancient Egyptian art? Why is the entertainment industry obsessed with symbols linked to demons, secret societies, and occult rituals? And in a world so advanced, so intelligent, so scientific, why are we sicker, sadder, and more controlled than ever before? Ask yourself, question everything, and if you think you know the answer, prove it.
New research uncovers that glass bottles contain more microplastics than plastic bottles somehow. This shit is unbelievable. We gotta start blowing people up.
What? They said microplastics are found. I mean, I don't know if where he got his information from, but like the fact that if what he's saying is true, if microplastics are really more in glass bottles than plastic bottles, what am I supposed to drink? They're like, don't drink tap water, don't drink plastic water, don't drink glass water. Supposed to just drink air?
Breaking news. The United States just bombed Iran. President Trump says in a post on Truth Social, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter."
World War III started tomorrow. How safe is the United States? It has the world's most powerful military, 2 ocean barriers, and hundreds of overseas bases. But it's also the biggest target on Earth. So what happens if global war breaks out? On paper, the US is one of the hardest countries to invade. It's protected by the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans and shares peaceful borders with Canada and Mexico, making a land invasion nearly impossible. But modern wars are more about long-range missiles. So its biggest rivals like Russia and China would likely use cruise and ballistic missiles to strike places like California, Alaska, and Washington, because their air bases and radar systems make them a prime target. But US has one of the best defense systems in the world. So even though they will take some damage, it would still be very hard to destroy their air bases.
Really bad news for Israel and the United States today, and this is probably the worst news they could have gotten this year.
Days ago, when the U.S. bombed the nuclear sites in Fordo, everyone thought this was it. The Iran nuclear program is done, it's abolished. President Trump came out and said this. Turns out days later, with intelligence and satellite photos, that strike didn't do anything. Actually, it probably made everything worse, with the Russians, North Koreans, and Chinese even saying that now they might supply Iran with nuclear weapons as a deterrent, because the Americans got involved. If you're wondering this, take a look at this photo right here. You see, days before the attack, the Iranians placed dirt and soil at the beginning of the entrance and exits of these nuclear facilities, making them very hard to attack and absorbing most of the impact. Also, the Iranians have said that they evacuated the sites days before, like they obviously would have, fearing an attack by the United States. And the satellite images of trucks and a convoy of uranium, they say, leaving the compound shows that the U.S. strike was a complete failure and a waste of time. Nuclear programs are not destroyed, as said by Russia, China, and North Korea. They might get nuclear weapons anyway, said by Russia, China, and North Korea. The U.S. is now involved, and all hell is breaking loose. A terrible decision by President Trump.
After conducting the largest B-2 strike in history, the stealth bombers returned to Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri on Sunday. The B-2s led a force of more than 125 American aircraft in a mission the Pentagon dubbed Operation Midnight Hammer. 7 B-2s took off at midnight on Friday, headed east for Iran's nuclear production sites, while 7 more flew west on a decoy mission to the Pacific. It was a B-2 head fake, Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane said, to maintain tactical surprise.
A deception effort known only to an extremely small number of planners and key leaders.
The B-2 strike package flew 18 hours to their targets, refueling multiple times along the way. The lead bomber dropped 2 bunker buster bombs, or massive ordnance penetrators, on the Iranian nuclear site at Fordow. In less than a half hour, a total of 14 of those 30,000-pound bombs were dropped on targets at Fordow and also Natanz. A third nuclear site was hit by 24 Tomahawk missiles fired from a submarine offshore.
All of our precision munitions struck where we wanted them to strike and had the desired effect.
Officials don't think a single shot was fired toward the American aircraft on the way in or out.
It appears that Iran's surface-to-air missile systems did not see us. Throughout the mission, we retained the element of surprise.
Satellite images of the deeply buried production facility at Fordow show holes indicating where the penetrating bombs hit, but damage assessment will take some time, and Iran has vowed retaliation.
The president may not want an open-ended conflict. The Iranians may disagree. Are you prepared for a protracted war?
Anything can happen in conflict, we acknowledge that, but the scope of this was intentionally limited. So Iran, in that sense, has a choice.
We were told that troops across the region were not informed about the operation until it was underway, and that enhanced force protection was already in place in case of retaliation.
I can't think of a scene that highlights the ugly underbelly of society quite like this one does. Have a look at this.
What is it about society that disappoints you so much?
Oh, I don't know. Is it that we collectively thought Steve Jobs was a great man, even when we knew he made billions off the backs of children? Or maybe it's that it feels like all our heroes are counterfeit. Or is it that we voted for this? Not with our rigged elections, but with our things, our property, our money. I'm not saying anything new. We all know why we do this, not because Hunger Games books makes us happy, but because we want to be sedated. Because it's painful not to pretend. Because we're cowards.
Elliot, you're not saying anything. What's wrong?
Nothing.
And there you go. Mr. Robot was such a fantastic series, and so true. We live in a world of smoke and mirrors and fakery. They've dumbed us all down and haven't even bothered to hide it. They give us brain rot TV, like Love Island or Jersey Shore, and they have the nerve to call it reality television. We live in a generation where people can only act kind if it's on camera. The system has subdued and made us so dependent, so now we crave subjugation through religion or some moronic leader. We are no longer comfortable as humans creating our own meaning. I know it's easier to walk a path that's already been laid before you, but the reward of laying your own path is so much higher. We've accepted this shit world for so long now that we've forgotten just how good the world can be. But there is a storm on the horizon. People are slowly waking up. Anyway, up the revolution. Have a good day.
I love how he said people are watching brain-numbing shows like Love Island. Yeah, I know so many girls that are just watching Love Island right now. It's just insane. I mean, I don't even know what it's about. I think I'm good on, I don't really care what it's about, but like, I don't know. If you watch Love Island, let me know your thoughts about it in the comments.
Okay, breaking news. It's the one that we've all been dreading. Iran has responded. It's official. Just minutes ago, reports have come out that Iran has fired several missiles towards a number of US bases and the ones that we have confirmed right now is in Qatar and the other one is in Iraq. But keep in mind, the US operates out of 27 bases in the Middle East and multiple other countries are being put on high alert. So we don't know if it's just these two bases or a multi-targeted front right now, targeting multiple. Now, Iran have called this operation Basharat Fath, which translates to promise of victory, and they say they have now begun their, quote, mighty and victorious response to the US strikes. Now, Donald Trump and a number of other officials have been rushed to the White House Situation Room, but it looks like they might have partly anticipated at least the Qatar base was at risk because satellite images show that the US has moved more than a dozen of its planes away from that base in the last week. Now, whether Trump responds to Iran's attacks or not, we don't know. He said that he absolutely would, but I guess it depends on the damage of these strikes and if there are any casualties. But man, we're really in it now, and it's gonna be a long night of updates. So I'll see you very soon. Hey yo guys, we're gonna be okay. Maybe. Let me explain. So, now that the Iran strikes against the US bases are over, we're getting a lot of information that suggests that these strikes from Iran were quite performative or symbolic. I mean, say what you want. So, basically, Iran gave a lot of notice and warnings to Qatar and the US ahead of these strikes, and this allowed them to close their airspaces, get people out of the bases, and make sure that there was no casualties. They said that the attack was designed to show that Iran could respond to America's attacks, but also gives both sides an exit strategy. Now, Iran's top security council said that they struck US air bases in Qatar with the same number of missiles that America used to bomb its nuclear facilities, which is why we're saying it's like a symbolic attack. They also added that they targeted air bases, the bases in Qatar, away from urban facilities and residential areas so that it posed no threat to Qatar and its people. And they really wanted to stress that this was for you, United States, not Qatar, because they concluded Iran, quote, remains committed to maintaining and continuing its warm and historic relations with Qatar. So, does Trump take this off-ramp and de-escalate this situation? Is this it from Iran? Is that their full response to the whole situation? Hopefully, yes, to both questions. But, you know, it's a wild-ass year, so who knows? I'll keep you updated.
Why becoming a B-2 pilot is nearly impossible for this one shocking reason. Let me explain. The B-2 Spirit is one of the most secretive aircraft in the world, and flying it isn't just about skill, it's about trust. Only a small number of pilots are ever selected, and most of them already have thousands of flight hours in other advanced jets. To even be considered, you need a spotless record and a top-secret security clearance. The clearance process alone can take over a year, with background checks going back decades because the B-2 isn't just a stealth bomber. It's part of the US's nuclear triad. That means every mission, every movement, and every word you say is heavily monitored. Even the training takes place at a single base in Missouri, Whiteman Air Force Base, and only about 600 people on Earth have ever flown the B-2 since its creation, with zero margin for error. One mistake could mean being grounded permanently. So if you want to become a B-2 pilot, it's not just about flying. It's about becoming part of one of the most exclusive clubs in military aviation. And most people never even get close.
Between the late 1800s and 1929, there were a number of breakthroughs that ended up being suppressed that had to do with creating very high voltage VHV systems so that you could create a vector into what's now been called the zero-point energy field. When Nikola Tesla died, this information that he had, which allowed for a car to run out of the ambient energy, was in documents confiscated by the FBI. And I have a Department of Defense document demanding that the FBI turn these over to the DoD. The FBI refused. By 1928 and 29, T. Townsend Brown as well as the Kowalski-Frost experiment in physics in Germany, had determined that VHV, very high voltage systems, done in a certain resonant field could result in so-called electromagnetic-gravitic effect, the lifter effect that has been described, which you see in UFOs. They also can create what's called a space-time bubble around an object so that you can correct for 1G. This is how these objects are traveling at multiples of what any aerodynamic physics would describe, and can make right-hand turns without killing the occupants. Around this same time, there was, in the 1940s and the late 1930s, a number of UFO sightings. This included the so-called Foo Fighters. Yes, it's a famous rock group. However, the Foo Fighters took their name from the reports of these objects seen in the theater of World War II that were flying around our aircraft. We thought it was a secret weapon of the Nazis. The Nazis thought it was a secret weapon of ours. There is Jimmy Doolittle, the famous general. His nephew is a dear friend of mine, and he has testified that General Doolittle was sent by FDR over to the European theater in World War II, investigated the Foo Fighters, and came back and told Roosevelt, and I quote, "They are interplanetary vehicles." So by then, there began a classified program, and which was augmented further by events, as mentioned, in 1941, and then, of course, the famous Roswell event. Those events led to, as Philip Corso describes, a reverse engineering program. As you all know from the famous Wilbur Smith document of 1951 from Canada, it talks about that flying saucers exist, but there's a high-level team headed up by Dr. Vannevar Bush that is studying the, quote, modus operandi of these vehicles. In October of 1954, a key date I want the committee to remember, we have actionable intelligence from someone who has worked in the National Security Agency and has been in the vault. All of this went deep black because they figured out at that point gravity control. So since 1954, October of that year, we have not needed rockets, jets, internal combustion engines, and surface roadways between cities. I say this with authority that this is the case. Eventually, these breakthroughs in human discovery were complemented by the study of the extraterrestrial material that were retrieved from these events. And contrary to most people's thoughts, the Roswell event was actually a downing of an extraterrestrial vehicle by an electromagnetic system that was hidden in a radar dome that was switched on, and this is in an FBI document that I can provide for the committee and is on the flash drive given to the Congress. The result ultimately was that there were transdimensional physics that began to be studied that deal with the nexus between electromagnetism, energy generation, anti-gravity, and consciousness. And we have discovered that there is a nexus and that, in fact, there are electromagnetic systems that have been developed that can interface directly with what we call coherent thought, the same way that you can interface with a system with lasers, which is coherent light, where you sync up all the wavelengths. Ultimately, these breakthroughs were paralleled with amazing developments in the biological sciences and the experimentation with cloning. And this began many years earlier than was reported from Dolly the sheep in Scotland. This goes a little beyond, I think, what this committee wants to look into. However, you need to understand that the technologies that we have and we are discussing are not theoretical. We have actionable intelligence that any committee in Congress or executive action can find regarding current operations. And I just want to go through a list of them very quickly of these facilities and corporations for which we have witnesses who can be subpoenaed by the committees of the Congress. This was developed at the request of Congressman Christopher Cox of Orange County, with whom I met, and was later further developed for the briefing that we put together for President Obama. These facilities are the Edwards Air Force Base and subsections where at the dry lake bed where the Lockheed Skunk Works operations, Haystack Butte, China Lakes, George Air Force Base, and the closed Norton Air Force Base, where an anti-gravity device, so-called alien reproduction vehicle, for which we have the schematics, was seen by Frank Carlucci and others on our witness team. Tabletop Mountain and Blackjack Control. The aerospace facilities there are the Northrop Anthill Facility, Tejon Ranch, the McDonnell Douglas Llano Plant, Lockheed Martin Helendale Plant, and the Phillips Lab. At the Nellis Air Force Facility, so-called Area 51, no one calls it that. There's S4 and S12, Pahut Mesa, Groom Lake, and a number of sub-facilities. The most important facility is in Utah, near Provo, the Dugway Proving Grounds, all of which is underground, and the airspace above it is classified. There are no roads into this facility. The New Mexico facilities include Los Alamos National Labs with underground connectors to the so-called Dulce area where the biological work is being done, and Kirtland Air Force Base. And the complex there includes Sandia National Laboratories, Phillips Labs, Manzano Mountain Weapons Storage Facility, Coyote Canyon, and the White Sands Complex. In Arizona, near Fort Huachuca, which is Army Intelligence Headquarters, there is a UGB underground base where one of our witnesses, who will testify, worked on 9 separate extraterrestrial vehicles that had been down through advanced electromagnetic pulse weapons, and there are several different species of extraterrestrial biologicals stored at that facility. The other facilities, and this goes on, include a special compartmented area of Cheyenne Mountain, where we have witnesses in our team who can be subpoenaed, where that we have tracked extraterrestrial vehicles in our solar system that were measuring 26 miles in diameter. There are also facilities in Australia, a key one being Pine Gap, the so-called Alice Springs facility, which is mostly a U.S. Air Force facility, even though it is in Australia. I recently talked to the Deputy Prime Minister of Australia about this. Also, the Redstone Arsenal and the Marshall Space Flight Center. We have a scientist at the Redstone Arsenal who works under contract for IT&T, who have developed these transdimensional systems. He was under contract with my project to bring these energy devices out, and he was then threatened by a former CIA director and what I call the goon squad that went down there 3 years ago in March. This is just part of the information we have, and this information is on the flash drive given, then that you're all welcome to review. Thank you.
Thank you.
In that clip, I think he said something like they took down the extraterrestrial spaceship with like some sonic sound or something like that. That makes me think like, I wonder if the government is playing like a frequency for people so they stay in a certain like vibration. I also heard about them finding orbs that float through the sky over, I think, Colombia or something like that. It's crazy stuff going on with extraterrestrials. Like we got World War III and we got aliens before GTA 6. Crazy.
Humans didn't start out white. For most of history, everyone was dark-skinned. You see, early humans lived near the equator, where the sun is brutal and dangerous. So their bodies made melanin, a pigment that shields skin from UV rays and keeps radiation from ripping DNA apart. Without it, the sun would shred their cells, causing mutations and deadly cancer. Dark skin was life or death. But when people started migrating north, everything changed. The sun got weaker. The same melanin that once protected them started blocking out too much light. Less sunlight meant less vitamin D, and without it, bones grew fragile, immune systems collapsed, and survival got harder. So, over thousands of years, their skin adapted. Dark skin mutated gradually, generation after generation, to let in just enough sunlight to stay alive. Light skin came from the cold, and it only exists because the sun went missing.
What actually happens to your body in a plane crash? First, you're hit by G-forces up to 16 times your body weight. Your spine compresses, bones snap, organs shift. If you're not braced, your head slams into the seat in front. At impact, everything happens in less than a second. Internal bleeding, shattered ribs, instant unconsciousness. In most fatal crashes, the real cause isn't the fall. It's the sudden stop. Survival? It depends on your seat, your posture, and luck. That's why they tell you to brace. Not to save the plane, but to give your body a chance.
She was born midair on a plane and scored 3 citizenships and free flights for life. This baby didn't just cry when she entered the world, she cashed in. Her mom went into labor mid-flight on a Saudi Airlines plane headed for New York. But here's the twist. When the baby popped out, the plane wasn't over Saudi Arabia or the US. It was flying between England and Ireland. That meant no one knew what country she officially belonged to. So both England and Ireland gave her citizenship. Then, when the plane landed in the US and her documents were issued, her third passport was unlocked. Triple citizenship before she could even crawl. But it doesn't stop there. Saudi officials were so thrilled, they gave her free flights for life on Saudi Airlines. All because her mom took a flight while in labor. Coincidence or genius-level mom strategy? Either way, this baby didn't just board a plane. She hijacked fate and came out with passports and perks most of us only dream of. All because
I'm thinking, like, if her mom's from Saudi Arabia, why couldn't the kid just be a Saudi Arabian citizen? Wouldn't that make sense? But I mean, she got all of them, so at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, she got the most out of the benefits.
Yale University posted the most cursed book in history to the internet, and it's driving people insane. A 250-page medieval codex written in an unknown language that no one has been able to decipher for over 600 years. But an Egyptologist claims he cracked it and knows exactly what it says. The Voynich manuscript is an ancient book filled with this unknown writing and drawings that suggest it might be some sort of manual for black magic or sorcery. Written sometime between 1404 and 1438 on pages made from calfskin in an indecipherable text that we haven't been able to translate. It's kind of crazy to look at, like it obviously says something and has a clear linguistic structure to it, but we just have no idea what any of this means. Everyone has tried to solve it. Mathematicians, computer scientists, linguists, historians, the FBI. Even the cryptographer who famously cracked the German Enigma code, Alan Turing, gave it a shot and failed. Along with the text, the book is filled with cryptic pictures of plants, creatures, astronomy, and naked women in bathtubs. The book is divided into roughly 4 sections: herbal, astrological, balneological, which is the study of the therapeutic use of baths, and pharmacological, medicine. First, the herbal section is filled with diagrams of plants that don't even exist, at least not on Earth, shaped like stars, circles, and other strange growth patterns. Some pages even have weird looking animals on them, like this little seahorse thing nibbling on one of the leaves, and other mythical looking creatures all throughout, thought to be either a botanical guide or some sort of instructions for alchemy, telling the user what plants to use and for what. Then the astrological section gets interesting as the pages fold out and show complex maps of the night sky and potentially even deep space, featuring known constellations like Sagittarius, Pisces, and Aries, but they're just a little bit off from what they're supposed to look like. And there are even some star charts that are completely unknown to us, either just made up or showing us a part of space we're not aware of. Balneological gets weird, featuring naked women in baths and pools in all sorts of odd shapes. Some of the baths even being shaped like a woman's ovaries, with them lounging in their tubes which pour back into the larger tubs. And again, since we have no idea what any of this text is saying, the context can range from anything as innocent as women's hygiene to sacrificial rituals. The final pharmacological section is basically all writing. Many pages of thick text assumed to be recipes for medicine or maybe magic potions, all written in the elusive Voynichese language as it's being called, that still remains a mystery, until people started insisting they solved it. It's kind of like English in that it's written left to right and appears to have 20 to 25 different letters, but the book's history suggests otherwise. The manuscript circulated in relative obscurity since it was written in the 1400s, getting purchased and passed along by emperors and alchemists who saw interest in it. It then disappeared for about 250 years, where we don't know who had possession and what happened to it, and was later brought to popular attention by Polish bookkeeper Wilfrid Voynich in 1912, who rediscovered it and dedicated his life to it, and is where the book gets its name. It was later donated to Yale's manuscript library, where it still physically remains today, and in 2020 they published the entire manuscript to their digital library, which you can view yourself. For hundreds of years, no one could figure out what this book was about, but in 2020, German Egyptologist Rainer Hannig claims to have cracked it. His analysis shows us that Voynichese is based in a Semitic language, most likely being Hebrew in origin. Nope, don't you dare say it. Voynich is a Semitic language, most likely being Hebrew in origin. 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 Most Cross-referencing Voynich characters with certain Hebrew letters, he managed to translate a few words, followed by full-on sentences. And it says a whole bunch of gibberish. Experts are not convinced this guy solved anything. One of his translations read, "I am a bull ready, which facilitates and renews house and ruins. You are a piece of lamb, which opens the mouth and is discouraged when I. Yeah. This isn't the first time. The Voynich manuscript has claimed to be deciphered dozens of times, and each one just doesn't quite make any sense. More recently, computer scientists at the University of Alberta used AI to help them translate the cryptic text, which also happened to determine that the language is likely Hebrew in origin. They even successfully translated the first sentence in the book, which reads, "She made recommendations to the priest, man of the house, and me and people." Not much better. They insist they're making progress, but clearly it needs a lot of work. Regardless of what it says, many theories around the manuscript speculate what the codex could possibly even be about. Some people think it's just an ancient women's health manual, which, looking at it, kinda makes sense. I guess the astrological section would have been their zodiac column, right? Others say it was written by an inner circle of philosophers in a code that only they could understand, and the cipher died with them. Or perhaps the final logs by the last standing survivors of a forgotten civilization lost to time, written in their native tongue. Maybe even an alien from another planet who crashed on Earth over 600 years ago, and without any way to get back to his home planet, decided to chronicle his life's work on pages of calfskin. If it is a real language lost to time, it wouldn't even be the first we've ever come across. Like Rongo Rongo, another undeciphered script composed of glyphs discovered on Easter Island. This one's more hieroglyphic-y, but to this day we have no idea what any of this means. But still others say it's just an ancient hoax written by someone in the 1400s as a prank, which I think is more ridiculous than it being written by aliens, but that's just me. Tying it back to medieval occultists like Edward Kelly, who claimed to go into deep trances while communicating with angels, an act historically known as speaking in tongues, or glossolalia, and would write down what the angels told him in their native angel language that no one could read, speak, nor understand, claiming the Voynich manuscript is filled with that writing. But people say a lot of these angel speakers were nothing but scam artists, and this book was just a giant con to get people to believe something, and is just literal chicken scratch gibberish. If this really is a hoax, that's some impressive looking fake language right there. I'm gonna stick with aliens. Final answer.
This is a blade of grass under a microscope. Notice the smiley faces? These are what are called vascular bundles, where water is transported to the leaf. So every time you go outside, remember that the grass is happy to see you. Peace, oh please.
They say when you cut a blade of grass, that smell that you smell, like the fresh grass cutting smell, is actually the grass begging for help or something like that. It's them kind of sending warning signals to each other, which is interesting.
Why does the B-2 stealth bomber, one of the most advanced aircraft in the world, come equipped with facilities like a bed, toilet, and microwave? The answer lies in the nature of the missions it undertakes. The B-2 is designed for extremely long-range operations, with missions often lasting from 20 to 30 hours. In fact, the B-2 holds the world record for the longest air combat mission, flying non-stop for an astonishing 44 hours. During such long-duration flights, it's impossible for a single pilot to stay alert and focused for the entire mission. Fatigue can impair judgment and reaction times, which are critical when flying deep into enemy territory or conducting precise bombing runs. That's why the B-2 is equipped with these amenities, allowing one pilot to rest while the other flies. The bed provides a place to sleep, while the microwave allows pilots to heat up meals, ensuring they stay nourished and ready for action. This setup helps maintain peak performance and concentration, allowing pilots to alternate between flying and resting. By incorporating such comfort and utility into its design, the B-2 remains one of the most capable and reliable aircraft for strategic operations in the U.S. Air Force, offering both stealth and endurance for long missions.
When the Titanic sank, over 1,500 people remained trapped inside, drowning with the ship as it went under. Now, you might think the bodies would still be in the wreck to this day, but over time, the freezing sea temperatures and pressure have destroyed most of the remains, and hungry sea creatures would have eaten anything else that's left over. But the engine room still remains sealed off, untouched by oxygen or sea creatures, meaning dead bodies might still remain there, undisturbed to this day.
Things I wish I had never learned. Your booty hole has taste buds. That's why spicy food burns on the way out. Figs aren't vegan. They have a bunch of unalived wasps in them. Tarantulas can swim in water. When you're giving birth, your large intestines can slip out through your bum hole. You spend 5,000 hours of your life looking for misplaced objects. CNN has a pre-recorded broadcast to air when the world is ending. The voice actor for Peter Pan, he was found unalived when he was 30 years old in an abandoned warehouse, covered in religious pamphlets and beer bottles. It's really sad. He was also unidentified for days. The average pair of dirty underwear contains 1/10 of a gram of boo-boo. And then you put it inside of your washing machine and it slowly starts coating the inside of your washing machine. Whether you're aware of it or not, you're constantly swallowing snot. And then by the end of the day, you've averaged like 2 cups of snot that you've just... Nightmare on Elm Street is based on a true story. I have a whole video about this, but people were getting unalived in their sleep after reporting crazy dreams. Yeah,
there's a lot of people in my comments that are like, dude, why do all these creators make up these words like unalived and blah, blah, blah? At the end of the day, bro, these creators are just trying to get paid because, like, dude, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, they'll take videos down for the stupidest reasons. Like one of my videos the other day, it got completely demonetized because it showed an explosion. Mind you, there was no one that got exploded. It was just a plane that exploded. They're like, nah, this is violent. I'm just like, dude, like what? Like, are we just going towards like a very soft era now? Like, you can't say anything that's like remotely like normal, I guess you could say. How does a plane exploding get me demonetized, bro? Like, well, come on, dude. If you got us to this far in the video, remember to like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 100K. Join the fam.
This isn't World War III. We're not heading towards it. Get that out of your head. I understand the conflict going on with Iran and that other country in the Middle East, along with Russia and Ukraine, but this is still very small fry. Look at the disproportionate level of damage done between both countries. Iran managed to get their drones and missiles through the Iron Dome and other levels of defense to hit apartment complexes. Maybe they hit one federal building. But the level of damage that Iran has suffered is disproportionately worse. There are constant barrages going deep into Tehran. They've destroyed a great deal of Iran's nuclear facilities. They've killed over 20 top military leaders in Iran, along with 6 or 7 nuclear scientists. Since last year, Iran's air defenses have been all but dismantled, meaning billions of dollars of purchases from Russia to get the S-300 and the S-400 are now worthless. Iran's military infrastructure is heavily damaged. So is their energy infrastructure. As you could see, their Tehran oil refinery is ablaze. Now, don't get me wrong. This is a war between these two countries, but it is a war that Iran will lose if it continues. Just think, Iran has launched 6 or 7 barrages of missiles and drones, and they have not managed to take out one member of their enemy's military leadership. As to what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, just remember that Russia signed a 20-year strategic partnership agreement with Iran this January, and they have failed to honor it because they have their hands full. Russia has been reeling from wave after wave of successful Ukrainian penetration and strikes deep into Russia's military infrastructure. Aside from the Ukrainian drone strike that removed 34% of Russia's nuclear bomber capability, along with losing over 100 armored vehicles and 15 tanks in a day, Ukrainian MiG-29 just destroyed a Russian drone hub by Zaporizhzhia. This is important because about 10 days ago, Russia was producing 170 Shahed drones a day. That number is going to be a lot less now. Ukraine has managed to freeze, or at least stall, the Russian military machine in their own country. Oh, but Russia has nukes. The Russians don't even know if somehow the Ukrainians have managed to infiltrate Russia's nuclear program. What about China? China can't even take Taiwan at this point, and they definitely can't send an army over to reinforce Iran or Russia. China doesn't have a blue water navy. They have no logistical capability, no military expertise. They haven't fought a battle in 50 years. Now, it's true that China can produce between 200 to 600 times more naval vessels than the United States in a single year. But do they have the sailors and just leaders to actually navigate the ships necessary? No, they don't. China is also surrounded by very populated and fairly powerful countries that don't like them. So the only role that China can play and will play in the future for Russia and Iran's conflicts is that of a supplier. That's it. But even with China heavily supplying Iran and Russia, it's already been shown that Ukraine has so heavily infiltrated Russia and Iran has been so heavily infiltrated by their enemy that any supply drop-off at this point can easily be destroyed. So we aren't witnessing World War III, we are watching a contraction of power of the three main enemies and rivals of Western interests. That's it. Russia and Iran will be less useful gas stations and weapons depots for China. Russia and Iran can no longer exchange weapons at the scale that they once did because now they are both under full attack. And this has all been done with NATO not having to fire one single bullet. They just used two proxies. Ukraine against Russia, and then the hatchet man of the Middle East against Iran. I am the Geo Husar. If people are trying to scare you again about World War III, just show them this post. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this World War III news always be making me think like, I know this is a stretch. I know a lot of people are gonna be like, all right, yeah, you're dragging it, kid. Like that's not what's going on. But in my head, it's like, I wonder if all of this, like, this is a stretch. Don't get me wrong. This is a stretch. This is gonna be a stretch. But I be thinking about it sometimes. And just in case it happens, just remember, I said it in this video. I mean, I'm recording it way earlier than it's gonna come out. But like, this video in June, I wonder if World War III or like this whole event is a setup for World War III, just so Trump could stay in office. Because remember now, FDR, he stayed in office for a lot longer because they were in the midst of a war. So just think about that. Something to think about.
You will be the soldiers of World War III. I'm talking to everyone in a NATO country between the ages of 18 and 26 years old. Listen closely. Share this with everyone because this isn't hypothetical anymore. This is where we are headed. Right now, Russia has officially abandoned all peace talks and declared the total destruction of Ukraine as its goal. NATO is mobilizing, the US is deploying assets in Europe, marking the most comprehensive defense posture since the Cold War. And tensions, they're stretching thinner by the hour. You think you'll have a choice? Think again. The moment Article 5 is triggered, everything changes. There will be a draft, and this time, they're not going to ask. And here's the real truth as to why. America isn't ready. Europe isn't ready. If this escalates, survival won't just mean avoiding the front lines. It'll mean enduring chaos here at home. Economic collapse, civil unrest, supply chain failure. Because when the system breaks, and it will, war becomes local. And as a father, I will say this plainly. I will not let my sons die in a war built by the mistakes of men in suits. Not for NATO, not for global posturing, not for lies wrapped in flags. So you better start thinking now. Because if this continues, the question isn't if war is coming. It's how soon.
When a wombat gets attacked by a predator, it quickly runs back to its cave and blocks the entrance with its butt. Because its butt is made of thick cartilage which makes it hard to bite or scratch. And if the predator tries to stick its head deeper, the wombat will use its butt to crush their head. And eventually they kill them by aggressively twerking their ass.
Let's talk about one of the most notable UFO events, the coin incident. And no, I'm not talking about this coin. On October 18th, 1973, just after 11 p.m., 4 officers were flying in a UH-1 helicopter over Mansfield, Ohio, headed from Columbus to Cleveland. And that's when they see it, a red light in the sky. At first they think it's a plane, but it's coming fast. They dive in to avoid collision, dropping from 2,500 to 1,700 feet. Suddenly, the object stops in midair and just hovers. It's shaped like a cigar, metallic, gray, with a red light in the front, and a bright green beam that shines directly into the cockpit. Then, the helicopter starts climbing, without their input. The controls are locked. The altimeter shows them rising from 1,700 feet, all the way to 3,500. Then, just as suddenly, the object moves westward, disappears in seconds. On the ground, people see it too. A mother and her kids in a car, a group of teens in a field, all describe the same thing. A glowing, silent object in the sky. Captain Coyne files a report with the FAA. The crew's account is consistent. No radar contact, no aircraft in the area. The Army calls it an unknown object. Coyne eventually presented his experience at the United Nations in 1978. Skeptics say it was a meteor, but this doesn't make sense, seeing the object hovered and shot beams. To this day, no one can explain what happened in the sky that night. just 4 military pilots and an unidentified craft. In a night that is now implemented in the UFO history. This is Saeed Rahman with Enigma Labs, where we document the unknown.
A Frontier flight landed so hard on Tuesday that pieces of its nose gear broke off, were ingested by the engine, causing an engine fire before they eventually did a go-round. Frontier Flight 93506 was landing in Puerto Rico after its flight from Orlando International Airport. The first landing attempt did not go as planned. They slammed the plane down, causing significant damage to the nose gear and losing a tire. The pilot then conducted a go-round, but something, presumably debris from the now broken landing gear, had been ingested into the left engine, causing a fire. The plane then did a low pass of the airport so the tower could observe the condition of their landing gear, and then finally conducted a safe landing, but this time on the airport's other runway.
Dude, you know how violently he must have landed that just for it to like get pieces of it in the engine? That'd be terrifying. You're just chilling on a plane like, oh, we're about to land here. Boom! You're just like, what the? You're just like, yeah, we're gonna, it's over. We're gonna be unalived, it's over. Imagine.
A sniper once attempted to use bullets made entirely of ice to take out a target without leaving any evidence behind. Since these bullets would melt inside the body, they could theoretically vanish without leaving a trace of the shot. But in reality, ice rounds were incredibly unreliable. Most broke apart mid-air or failed to fire at all.
So Fairlife was deemed the most unhealthy drink in America.
Is anyone else cooked like I am?
I used to drink like 2 of these a day because I go to the gym, and who doesn't want 60 grams of protein in like 5 minutes? What is the side effect of the most unhealthy drink in America? Am I gonna start shitting microplastics now? Making it sound like it's detrimental to my health. Like, am I gonna take a one day?
Look down. There's gonna be a whole reconstructed Fairlife bottle in the toilet.
Or am I gonna live till I'm 50 thinking it didn't affect me, and then croak over and heart stopped? And the thing is, I was always sus of having 30 grams of protein in one small but I still drink it anyway. But honestly, I don't even think it's that big of a deal because people still consume Red 40 and all this other on the daily. So I think we'll be fine. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments.
This is pretty sad stuff about Fairlife because I drink the out of it. The problem is the microplastics. Fairlife was the #1 in everything they tested by a wide margin. Specifically the Core Power High Protein Milkshake Chocolate, which is what I've been buying out the wazoo for the last like 4 or 5 months. And popping off in terms of popularity too. Like everyone at the warehouse drinks them as well. They're just really good. They are really, really good. You can boil up to 2 minutes over 90% of the microplastics from regular drinking water. Try doing that with the milk. Brother, the last thing I want to do with a milkshake is boil it. I'm not going to be drinking any more Fairlife anymore. It's really such a shame.
Dude, me and the boys drink Fairlife all the time. That is actually really sad. Dude, I have Fairlife in my fridge right now. So for those who don't know, like, you know what I'm saying, I'm an average gym goer. Like, I work out a lot more than the average person, I would say. So, you know what I'm saying, like, I appear small up here, but like low-key, you know what I'm saying, like, I'm a diesel. Let me show you. So I usually drink the protein shakes and the milk, but I've been drinking the milk a lot more lately. And apparently this has microplastics in it, along with the actual like milkshake version of it. 13 grams of protein, like, you know what I'm saying, high protein. Like, why would I not drink it? But that's scary, and it kind of makes sense because I used to be like, how the heck does this protein shake has milk in it, but it can like sustain itself without being in a fridge for like months? Because if you ever drink like any other protein, or even sometimes this, like this doesn't even need to go in the fridge until you open it. Once you open it, then you have to put it in the fridge. But before you open it, it can literally stay on shelves for like a couple months, which is a little bit questionable.
Have y'all seen the video of this girl? She's like brand new to the army. And she's like, I just wanted to show you what the army feeds us. And she opens up this box and it's got steak and lobster and desserts. A full to-go box full of extravagant food. She's like, wow, the army's not that bad. And the comments are like, oh no, we're cooked. They said, baby, you're about to deploy. And she's like, what? What do you mean? Baby, the army is not giving you steak and lobster on a random weekday. You talk about some, wow, why don't I join sooner? They treat us so well, steak and lobster, y'all should join. Baby, there's a war behind you. You about to go, you about to be sent off. And she's replying to all the comments, she's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What do you mean? Somebody was like, baby, I am a civilian and I know that's not good. She over there just chowing down, so delicious, so delicious. I know for a fact, an hour later, she opens up TikTok to have this thing flooded with comments. She went from peacefully enjoying steak and lobster for lunch to pissing herself.
So the Air Force admits that an alien escaped from Area 51 in the 80s. Air Force Office of Special Investigations Richard Doty stated that he was on the team that was trying to find this alien. It escaped and took off into the desert. It was actually captured by a guy named Wainwright, Gus Wainwright. He was a trapper. He found this thing just crawling around and he captured it. Now this is what it looked like, quataloid here. That's what they call it, a quataloid. He captured it, called the police came down, the government got word of it, they came down, and they said, hey, we're taking this thing. And Gus Wainwright actually had taken a photo. He took the photo, and he had all this camera footage of it, and the government, of course, took it. So when they took it, it was 35 millimeter. They took that, all of his film, and they left. But he had it. He had one shot left, and he posted it up in a bar in Nevada, and everybody was looking at this thing thinking it was strange, and nobody knew that it was really a real alien with a real picture taken, crazily enough. So anyway, do you believe this story? It's a good one.
If your cat suddenly dies, most people would grieve and then bury it instantly. Cats can sometimes enter a state of shock that mimics death. To help, fill a sink with warm water and gently place the cat in it. The warmth will restore circulation and might bring your cat back to life.
Do you remember when this famous comedian got robbed for $12 million? Now this whole story starts with this guy, Dane. And Dane's around 16 during this time, living in Boston, and his family is struggling. They're surviving on welfare and food stamps. But one day, he decides he's gonna get himself and his family out of the struggle. And he's gonna do it by becoming famous in the comedy world. So, over the next few years, he spends all his time trying to be a comedian. Like every night, he's working on his material in local comedy clubs, and by the time he's in his 20s, Dane is spending every single night working the scene trying to make this happen. And he does this for years.
There was a big naked white guy, no pee-pee. He had he had nothing down there.
But then, in 1998, he finally gets a bit of a break. He gets a stand-up segment on Comedy Central. Then, in 2000, he gets his own half-hour special.
I wish I was a snake. Dude, you ever wish you were a snake?
And of course, being on TV helps promote his live shows, so now he's making a little bit of money. And with some of this money, he wants to make sure his family is taken care of. And so he buys his mom a nice house. But he also wants to help out this guy, Daryl. Daryl is Dane's half-brother and his very close friend. They actually grew up together. And so Dane goes to Daryl and he's like, hey, you want a job? I could pay you to be my business manager or something. And even though Daryl really doesn't have much experience with this stuff, Dane really wants to help him out. So Daryl hears this offer and he's like, all right. And he comes on board as business manager, and Dane pays him a salary, and Daryl handles a lot of Dane's finances and makes sure his taxes are paid on time and stuff. So this deal works great for both of them. Then in 2002, Dane does something completely unheard of at the time. He starts taking advantage of the internet, which is the norm now, but stand-up comics aren't doing this in 2002. But Dane is smart. He makes a website and he's like posting footage of his stand-up shows, and through this he starts getting an even bigger fan base. Then in 2004 he starts a MySpace page. Remember MySpace? One of the first really big social media platforms? Again, stand-up comics were not doing this at the time. But Dane does it, and this gives him tons of visibility, and suddenly, kaboom, his career blows the fuck up. And now he's everywhere, and he has millions of followers, his comedy albums are going platinum, he's performing at Madison Square Garden, sometimes twice in one night, and suddenly Dane is far from being the welfare kid he started out as. Now he's one of the biggest comedians in the world, and everyone around him is super happy for him and very supportive. Until Well, not everyone is very supportive. Daryl, his business manager, his half-brother, his longtime close friend, Daryl sees his younger brother experiencing all this success and making all these millions of dollars, and at some point, he starts to think that maybe he's entitled to some of it. And Dane already pays him $150,000 a year salary, but that's apparently not enough for Daryl. He wants more. And instead of asking his brother for a raise like a normal person, he decides he's just gonna steal it. So he gets to work and he starts wiring money from Dane's business accounts right into his own personal account. And he writes fake checks from Dane to himself. And Daryl is good at covering his tracks. He sends Dane fake bank statements to make it look like all the finances are good and that everything is adding up. And as the years go by, he steals millions from Dane. And his wife is helping him do it, like this turd, Erica. And Daryl and Erica are spending this stolen money. They buy jewelry, they buy an $800,000 condo in Maine, they invest in a bunch of businesses like a hotel complex and a couple of restaurants. Daryl even racks up over $1 million in credit card debt just buying shit for himself, and then he pays that credit card off with Dane's money. And just in case all this goes south, he starts hiding hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in the walls at his multiple homes he now owns. In total, it's estimated that he stole a minimum of $12 million from his own brother. And poor Dane, he's working so hard, he doesn't notice any of this money is missing because he believes these bank statements, and of course he trusts his brother, they grew up together. But then, Daryl's scheming all starts to fall apart. Because as Dane becomes more and more famous, he starts getting a lot more movie deals and stuff, including a movie with Kate Hudson, one with Jessica Simpson, another one with Jessica Alba. And so in 2008, Dane officially becomes a resident of California, and he starts having his taxes filed there. And as such, he has to find a new business manager in Los Angeles, one who's a little more experienced with that side of things. And it sucks to do, but Dane has to go and break the news to his brother that he's switching managers. But he says that he'll figure out a new job for him, keep him in the family business and help him out. Now, I assume Daryl acts all chill about this, but obviously handing over the books to someone else is horrible news for him. What if this new manager sees that he's been stealing all this money? And so eventually, Dane's new manager does his job and he hits up Daryl to hand over all of Dane's financial records. And Daryl starts acting really shady and he makes up all kinds of excuses as to why he can't do it, and this stalls things for a while. However, Daryl realizes that he can't keep this up for long. He needs a new plan fast. And so, in a panic, he starts Googling things like white-collar attorneys and how to hide money. And when that doesn't get him anywhere, he eventually realizes that his only option is to go on the run. And so he and his wife, they start making plans to leave and travel the world. Then he forges Dane's signature and writes one last check to himself for $3 million, and he deposits it into his personal account. Meanwhile, Dane's new manager hits up Dane and is like, your brother's ignoring me. And so Dane sends Daryl a stern message saying, bro, you need to FedEx those documents right now. And Daryl's like, I'm working on it. But he's definitely not working on it. Because 2 days later, Daryl and Erica hop on a 4 a.m. train headed out of the state. Then they rent a car and they drive somewhere, I don't know, they completely disappear off the map. And this disappearance is when Dane gets super suspicious, as he's finally starting to realize that his brother might just be a terrible person. And so he goes to Bank of America himself, because he's going to try to get into his accounts. But, as it turns out, he doesn't even have access to his own bank accounts. And when the bank managers finally do let him into his accounts, where there should be millions of dollars waiting for him, he sees there's actually $0 waiting for him. Apparently, Daryl cleared these accounts all out. And of course, this is devastating for Dane. How could someone so close to him betray him like this? This is probably some of the worst pain he's ever felt in his life. And so he has no choice but to finally go to the police. Then, a few weeks later, police find Daryl in Massachusetts, and boom, they arrest him. And I don't have a mugshot for him, but here he is in court in handcuffs. Also, bam, they arrest Erica. Here's her mugshot. And Daryl pleads guilty, and he gets sentenced to 6 years in prison, while Erica, she gets 3 years in prison, and they have to pay Dane back all the money they stole. So, good for him.
There's a saying, I think, where it's like friends and family and business don't mix or something like that. I mean, honestly, that story kind of got me mad because, like, dude, you're in prison for 6 years. How are you going to pay back like $12 million? Let's be real. You're not.
What's up, everybody? I think about this every day. How the CIA concluded in a report that we live in a holographic light matrix after completing the Gateway experience created by Robert Monroe at the Monroe Institute, a program that uses frequencies to synchronize your brain hemispheres, allowing you to remote view and astral travel. What do you guys think about that? Peace.
A game that made the boy his family. His father, who was a police officer, left his gun at a table. The boy started playing his VR game and accidentally used his father's gun. He was unaware of the reality as he thought he would shoot the characters in the game, but in reality, he shot his own family members to death. After this incident, the boy suffered terrible psychological trauma and was sent to asylum.
Yo, after he fired that first shot, he didn't hear those loud bang, bang, bangs? You would have thought after hearing that, you would have been like, this is definitely not a toy gun.
People in the Middle Ages slept twice a night. Instead of sleeping through the night like we do today, people in the Middle Ages slept in 2 phases, what we'd call biphasic or segmented sleep. They'd hit the sack very early, since the night was generally very dangerous, and would sleep for a few hours. Then, they'd usually wake up between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. to engage in what they called the watch. Typically, the peasants used that time to check on their animals, while religious folk spent it in prayer, and even criminals took advantage of the darkness for their misdeeds. After their activities, they'd go back to sleep for what was known as the second sleep. Since most people couldn't afford their own beds, many ended up sleeping together, accompanied by family, friends, and even servants. And for couples who managed a bit more privacy, the watch was the perfect excuse for a bit of cheeky lovemaking, if you know what I mean.
Joseph Stalin collapsed on the floor in his room from a massive stroke, but instead of calling for medical help, his staff waited an entire night, afraid to enter. You see, Stalin was known to execute anyone who disturbed him. Fearing that, they waited until morning before finally discovering his unconscious but still alive body. But by then it was too late. The very fear he created had cost him his life.
In the 1970s, a man from Australia discovered an old doll beneath the floor of an abandoned house. It had glass eyes, realistic human hair, and a face carved from wood, too detailed, too lifelike. He took it home, thinking it was just an antique, but something felt off. That night he left the doll in his car. By morning, the windows were fogged from the inside and the doll was no longer lying down. It was sitting upright, facing the driver's seat. At home, things got stranger. Lights flickered, cold air clung to rooms it passed through. His dog growled at nothing, and his kids swore they saw the doll's eyes move. He tried locking it away, but every time it rattled the box, scratched at the inside, as if it wanted out. They named it Let a Me Out. Psychics who examined it claimed it held the soul of a drowned boy, and confirmed something else. The hair on the doll was real, human. No one dared destroy it. Today, Letta sits in a sealed glass case, but visitors still report chills. Sometimes, people say it moves even inside the glass. Others hear soft tapping, and one woman swore she heard it whisper, right against her ear, "Let me out."
This is how Jeffrey Epstein died. He was a billionaire who was a convicted offender, connected to presidents, royalty, and some of the most powerful people on earth. But his private island, that's what got people talking. In 2019, Epstein was arrested and charged with trafficking minors, and the details were disturbing. Everyone wanted to know who else was involved. Then, just a few weeks later, he was gone. Epstein was found in his jail cell, unresponsive. The official story? He took his own life. But the cameras outside his cell, they mysteriously malfunctioned. The guards, asleep at 6 p.m. And Epstein, he'd previously been on watch, but somehow that had been lifted. People began to ask, how does the highest profile inmate in the country die under 24/7 surveillance without anyone noticing? 3 days before his death, he was even seen with the president. Was it really, Or did one of his buddies help him escape?
Applied for a janitor job at a hospital, but never cleaned a single thing. Instead, he walked into the operating room, put on scrubs, and started assisting in surgeries. For 6 months, no one questioned him. He knew all the terms, all the tools. He'd watched thousands of hours of surgery videos online. He wasn't even a high school graduate. They only caught him when a real nurse recognized him from her TikTok feed.
This is how to reinvent soap if civilization restarts. Because if you think things smell bad now, wait till people stop washing. Soap isn't luxury, it's survival. It kills bacteria, removes filth, and keeps your armpits from starting a second pandemic. Here's what you'll need. Animal fat. Yes, the greasy stuff. Wood ash, from an actual fire, not your vape. And water, preferably not radioactive. Step 1. Burn hardwood. Grab the soft white ash, not the chunky black bits. You're making lye, not barbecue. Step 2. Pour water through the ash. Boom. Lye water. It's caustic, so don't drink it unless you hate your insides. Step 3. Melt your fat. Stir in the lye slowly. If it starts to look like pudding, congrats. You're halfway to soap, or a chemical burn. Step 4. Pour it into a mold, like a shell, a cup, or the bottom of your apocalypse boot. Let it sit for a few days until it hardens. Congrats. You just made primitive soap. It might be rough, it might smell like bacon, but it works.
If your kitten grew to the size of a tiger, you might think it would be cute, but it would weigh over 600 pounds, and unlike a wild animal, it wouldn't be afraid of you. A single pounce would be enough to shatter your ribcage, and a gentle bite would crush your bones. As it played, it would bat your head like a toy, breaking your neck, and when it got tired, it could curl up on your chest, slowly choking you to
This is how Takeoff. He was the calm one in Migos. He preferred to stay out of the spotlight and live a regular, normal life, just hanging out with friends and family. But not even that was enough to escape the 27 Club. November 1st, 2022, Takeoff was with Kendrick at a private party. It wasn't anything fancy, just a few friends at a bowling alley playing beer pong. But then an argument broke out over something small. Takeoff wasn't even arguing. He was just standing nearby, watching and listening to the commotion, until someone pulled a gun. The shooter fired 2 rounds. First didn't hit anything, but the second shot hit Takeoff directly in the head. In a split second, the room turned to screams and everyone ran. Takeoff collapsed to the ground and succumbed to his injury. A few days later, the police arrested a suspect, but no one could identify him, so he was released. Online, people quickly began spreading conspiracies, like the shooter was paid off by another rapper. But nonetheless, it was just a sad day for the music industry, losing such a young legend.
I think it was like the first day of November, like November 1st, 2022, when Takeoff died. He is a rapper in a group called Migos. It's crazy how sometimes it's the people that are literally out the way, not really like too focused on the drama, not really into that rah, is the people that get hurt, bro. Super sad, bro. R.I.P. Takeoff.
This is perhaps one of the craziest interviews I've ever seen regarding the metaverse. Do me a favor and turn your phone sideways. The interview is in regards to the new Matrix game that is being built on the Unreal Engine 5.
Easily as we change clothes.
We wondered, what would identity mean in a completely digital world?
And what would reality mean when a world we can build feels as real as our own?
And this game shows the advancements in technology and how realistic the virtual reality is going to become. And here's Keanu Reeves' thoughts on this metaverse that is coming within the near future.
And so the director's like, well, why don't you just tell them what it's about? So I started to say, well, there's this guy who's in a kind of virtual world, and he finds out that there's a real world, and he's really questioning what's real and not real, and he really wants to know what's real. And the young girl was like, why? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, who cares if it's real? And I was like, what, you don't care if it's real? And she was like, no.
Isn't that wild? It's awesome. And he goes on explaining how awesome the concept of the metaverse actually is, and how crazy it is to see creation and economics actually involved within these online virtual worlds.
Creation, it's economic creation, right? cryptocurrency.
Are either of you into cryptocurrency personally?
A friend of mine bought some for me a while back, so.
But you haven't done anything with it?
I haven't had to.
Now, Keanu isn't too much into crypto, and he even cracks this joke about NFTs.
And so, like, when you think about the concept of digital scarcity and things that are, you know, they can't be copied,
That are easily reproduced.
well, but they're not the same.
And despite cracking the joke, he's not actually against anything in the NFTs or cryptocurrency space. He just knows it's another way for companies like Facebook to actually just profit and make more money.
We're getting
as
there.
mentioned right here.
Can we just not have metaverse be like invented by Facebook?
You're not a fan?
No, but just the concept of metaverse is like way older than
it is old. Snow Crash, yeah.
It's like a way older, and so for that moment to get to, I'm just like, come on, man.
Because clearly Keanu is not a fan of Lizard Man either. Now go ahead and turn your phone back with me. As these blockchain games and metaverse aren't as realistic with graphics just yet, we are maybe 5 to 10 years out before this virtual reality Ready Player One style games actually comes to fruition, and you're going to see people inside these VRs on a day-to-day basis. So if you want to learn how to get ahead and understand how to play these games and make money, click that follow button.
So Keanu Reeves said something. It was like he talked to a girl about the guy trying to find out what's real from what's fake, and he said that the girl was like, who cares if it's real? And that had me thinking, like, let's say like today someone like Morpheus comes up to you and was like, do you want to know the truth, or do you want to stay in this life? Would a lot of you guys choose to stay, or would you choose to break free? Let me know down in the comments.
So I noticed something very weird about the Facebook Metaverse promotion video. He is not wearing a VR headset. Where's his VR headset? This is not through VR. They're planning something way more sinister, and I'm going to tell you their actual plan. There's no VR headset. This is because Zuckerberg knows the real plan. The real plan is contact lenses and holograms. You keep thinking that the metaverse is a digital world. They actually want the Earth to be the metaverse. It's going to be more of a hybrid reality where you're like a cyborg and the technology is on the contact lenses. So why did Facebook buy Oculus, the VR headset company? Because they know VR headsets are basically going to get phased out. If their plan is some Ready Player One stuff, then there are millions and billions of people who couldn't last 3 hours in a headset. You get dizzy, motion sickness. So the real plan, like about 5 years out, is going to be these contact lenses.
This man lives full-time in the metaverse, and it is quite a sight to see. This is Mikkel VR, and he's gone viral on social media for living 24/7 in the metaverse. He lays in a child's bed that has been remade into a penthouse suite, he takes showers in a kiddie pool, and he even drives a fake car to work. He claims the virtual world that he's built is better than any physical world that he could be living in, so why not just stay in it full-time? Is this sad, or is this the future? What do you think?
Something about the metaverse just makes my whole soul just uneasy, because it's like, as a human being, you know what I'm saying, we're supposed to be active, like moving and stuff, walking. If you just spend your whole day in the metaverse, that is just like crazy to me. I don't know.
Following is a conversation with Mark Zuckerberg inside the metaverse. Mark and I are hundreds of miles apart from each other in physical space, but it feels like we're in the same room because we appear to each other as photorealistic codec avatars in 3D with spatial audio. This technology is incredible, and I think it's the future of how human beings connect to each other in a deeply meaningful way on the internet. These avatars can capture many of the nuances of facial expressions that we humans use to communicate emotion to each other. Now, I just need to work on upgrading my emotion expressing capabilities of the underlying human. This is the Lex Friedman Podcast, and now, dear friends, here's Mark Zuckerberg. This is so great. Lighting change? Wow.
Yeah, we can put the light anywhere.
And it doesn't feel awkward to be really close to you.
No, it does. I moved you back a few feet before you got into the headset. You were like right here.
I don't know if people can see this, but this is incredible. The realism here is just incredible. where am I? Where are you, Mark? Where are we?
You're in Austin, right?
No, I mean this place. We're shrouded by darkness with ultra realistic face, and it just feels like we're in the same room. This is really the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And sorry to be in your personal space.
I mean,
we have done jiu-jitsu before.
Yeah, no, I was commenting to the team before that even that I feel like we've choked each other from further distances than it feels like we are right now.
I mean, this is just really incredible. I don't know how to describe it with words. It really feels like we're in the same room.
Yeah.
It feels like the future. This is truly, truly incredible. I just wanted to take it in. I'm still getting used to it. It's like, it's you. It's really you. But you're not here with me, right? You're there wearing a headset, and I'm wearing a headset. It's really, really incredible. So what, can you describe what it takes currently for us to appear so photorealistic to each other?
Yeah. So, I mean, for background, we both did these scans for this research project that we have at Meta called Codec Avatars. And the idea is that instead of our avatars being cartoony, and instead of actually transmitting a video, what it does is we've sort of scanned ourselves and a lot of different expressions, and we've built a computer model of sort of each of our faces and bodies and the different expressions that we make, and collapse that into a codec that then, when you have the headset on your head, it sees your face, it sees your expression, and it can basically send an encoded version of what you're supposed to look like over the wire. So in addition to being photorealistic, it's also actually much more bandwidth efficient than transmitting a full video, or especially a 3D immersive video of a whole scene like this.
And it captures everything, like the flaws, like to me, the subtleties of the human face, like even the flaws, that's all.
Yeah, when Mark Zuckerberg's face first popped up, I was just so terrified. I was like, yo, what am I looking at?
The government has invaded the metaverse. Barbados is the first nation to have a government establishment in the metaverse. So this is from the super world metaverse. And this guy, who's an ambassador for Barbados, established the first embassy of any sovereign nation inside the metaverse on super world. It was very amazing to see this, because just a few months ago, I actually purchased 4 pieces of land right here in that metaverse of Superworld. If you would like to learn how I did this, click the follow button and I will be making a video.
Police are investigating the first case of in the metaverse after a child was allegedly attacked in-game while wearing a VR headset. The girl is said to have been left distraught after her character was gang raped by a group of online strangers. She suffered no physical injuries, but officers say she suffered the same psychological and emotional trauma as someone who is in the real world.
Yo, they said she suffered real life mental problems because of that. That is crazy, dude.
This is not Google Earth. In fact, it's going to be a fully playable metaverse set in a replica of our planet, where you can own your own land that corresponds with the same location in our physical world and can be used to mine resources, build on, play on, and more. The squares you see here are plots of land that you can buy now on Earth too.
Alright guys, virtual reality is literally proving to us the power of our thoughts. Check this out. So first, if you're unfamiliar with this channel, Citizen Scientist is all about proving just how powerful your thoughts really are, and how you can't tell the difference between your outside world and what you're thinking alone in your head. You can literally think greater than how you feel. And Snow World is a shining example of this. And Snow World is a VR world built for burn victims who experience some of the worst pain imaginable. And in Snow World, patients can throw snowballs at penguins while they receive treatments, which means that patients are going from their real physical body to the world of their imagination generated through thought alone. And the results were amazing. Patients reported 35 to 50% less pain when in the VR world, which is the same if they were to take an addictive opioid. And the brain scans show that the pain receptors in the brain were way less active in the VR world, which is super important because the death cause from painkillers is just out of control. So who knows, VR could become commonplace in medicine, just like taking a Novocaine shot at your dentist.
I've had this thought for a really long time, but I feel like in the future, when a lot of people go through any sort of mental illness or traumatic incidences, for example, someone that's on their deathbed from like a certain type of cancer, I feel like as they're on their deathbed in a way, I feel like a lot of people are going to be transported into virtual reality, so their treatments could go a lot faster, if that makes sense, or they could have a less stressful death.
I've made like 3 or 4 viral videos about how big the metaverse is going to be. But I did not realize how serious Facebook was taking the metaverse. They're about to drop their name of Facebook to become more known for the metaverse. But what exactly is the metaverse? I'm going to tell you what it could be, and hopefully Facebook isn't too much involved in it. The idea first came about in Snow Crash. I told you all to check this book out. And in the metaverse ideal state, it has no single creator. And at its core, it's a digital reality that includes aspects of gaming, social media, AR, and cryptocurrencies. And instead of just viewing the content like we do now, we're in it. And yes, there's Second Life, Decentraland, Roblox, Fortnite. These all contain aspects of the metaverse, but they're all self-contained. Meaning I can't bring my avatar from Decentraland into Fortnite. This has the opportunity to create an overall economy that's bigger than our current one. If you want to learn more about this, make sure you like and follow because I can get more into it.
What actually is the metaverse? And why is it going so far? This is scary, like really, really genuinely scary. But let's get into it. So first of all, let's talk about meta. So basically, Meta is the new word that Mark Zuckerberg came up for Facebook. So it's not called Facebook anymore, it's called Meta. Now, he's developing something called the Metaverse, which is pretty much like a simulation game which everyone will be a part of. And he's estimated that eventually around 1 billion people will be active in this. 1 billion. Like, what? Now, what's so scary about it, and what actually is it? It's basically like a game where you'll load into in VR or something. But it's like an entire universe, like an entire planet. And people are already buying land there. Even large companies such as Nike and Adidas. Like, that just makes it even crazy. If you go on OpenSea, you can actually buy land in there right now, but it's obviously expensive. Now, what's so scary about this? Surely it's just some kind of VR game that everyone will be playing. Well, not exactly. This metaverse will literally feel real. People will eventually be pretty much living inside of it more than they actually live in their real life. People will be getting jobs in there, meeting friends for a cup of coffees, and even going to school there maybe. This is why NFTs are such a massive thing at the moment, because this will almost be like a flex in your metaverse life. Having like a Bored Ape NFT in the metaverse is kind of like having a Ferrari or something in the real world. Now, this is where it gets even scarier. It's estimated that eventually people will spend more time in the metaverse than they spend in their real life. So people won't care about how much money and stuff they have in the real world, only in the metaverse. You'll be able to stay alive by just doing stuff in there. Makes no sense. And this is the proper crazy part. People are saying in the distant future, like I'm talking maybe 100, even 200 years, you will be able to transfer your consciousness into the metaverse, meaning that you can't die, you will literally be living in the metaverse, not in the real world at all. How messed up is that? But some people have also theorized that this has already happened. We are in some kind of simulation right now, almost like the metaverse. Life has just developed in it, meaning we have no idea we're actually in it, it just feels like real world. Messed up. I'll send this video to someone to make them aware of the metaverse and, well, blow their mind.
You see the tomato sauce on your left? Go ahead and grab that and then place it in your cart. Great. Looks like that's everything on your list. Are you ready to check out with Walmart Pay? I'll have the TV brought out to your car. Thanks for shopping at Walmart and have a great day.
I hope to God that dude did not use his real money for that.
Mark Zuckerberg literally showed everybody their future a couple weeks ago and nobody gives a shit. Look at this. Mark Zuckerberg was talking about the metaverse and how it's going to change everybody's lives. He described it perfectly as the next succession of the mobile internet. So right now you're walking around with your phone in your pocket, you're taking the internet everywhere with you. You basically have a little box of limitless information that helps you navigate your way around the world. If you don't know where you are, you look at a map. If you need transportation, you call an Uber. If you need to remember something, you write a note. If you need to take a picture of something, you take a picture. You need to take a video of something, you take a video. If you need to be entertained, you open TikTok and you watch my content. If you don't know a math problem, you use a calculator. If you need to be in a meeting, you hop on Zoom. Everything you do is on the phone. Now, imagine you're in the world and you lose your phone. You're lost. Yeah, of course you can survive without a phone, but you're gonna be at a supreme disadvantage, especially when it comes to gathering information, receiving information, storing information, navigating around your city, talking to people. Because you lose that box in your pocket, you are losing all those tools that help you in society. In the future, it's going to be the same, except your phone is going to be this. We are going to live in a world where smart glasses are going to be as light and thin as this. In fact, you won't even be carrying that hunk of aluminum anymore. So check it out. You put on your smart glasses and immediately you know where you are in the world. You know the weather, you know the time. You look at your friend, you know their name. You're walking around town, you look at a business, you know how many stars it has. You know immediately if it's an Italian or a Mexican restaurant. You want to remember something, you take a picture. You want to hop in a meeting, you can hop in a meeting. Everybody will have digital avatars in the metaverse, so your friend would have an avatar and they could be sitting next to you and you guys could be watching a concert or something together. And in their view, they would see your avatar. And we will get to the point technologically where smart glasses will be affordable for everyone. So if you don't have them, you're like, what are you doing? They'll be used in schools, hospitals, for transportation, for entertainment, literally everything. If you could name me one industry that does not use a phone in some capacity, everything is going to be used with smart glasses. Tim Cook said that he expects AR to be as big as the App Store, and I completely agree. My favorite part about all this is when the App Store was created, it created industries that we couldn't even comprehend back in 2008, like Uber, TikTok. People are making full-time livings off of these new businesses that came with this new technology, and it's going to be very interesting to see what new industries and businesses come with this new innovation of taking all these tools from a screen to in front of your face.
It's time for everyone's favorite, work. Over the last year and a half, a lot of us who work in offices have gone remote. And while I miss seeing the people I work with, I think remote work is here to stay for a lot of people. So we're going to need better tools to work together. Let's take a look at what working in the metaverse will be like. Imagine if you could be at the office without the commute. You would still have that sense of presence, shared physical space, those chance interactions that make your day all accessible from anywhere. Now imagine that you have your perfect work setup and you can actually do more than you could in your regular work setup. And on top of all that, you can keep wearing your favorite sweatpants.
Looking good. Let's get together real quick for a debrief.
I'm free now. Let's jump in. Hi.
Hey. I think it's ready.
Great.
I'll prep it for the presentation.
All right. Good luck.
Imagine a space where you can tune out distractions and focus on the task at hand. And when you're ready to share what you've been working on, you can present it as if you're right there with the team.
Wait, where's Mark?
I think he's in the middle of something.
You can already see some of these elements in Horizon Workrooms, which we launched a couple of months ago. Later this year, we plan to introduce a room customization, so you could put your own logos and posters in your workrooms. We're also introducing a new office space in Horizon Home, for when you want your perfect workspace to do some focused work or just cross a few things off your to-do list.
I wonder if the metaverse could take us to like a next dimension, if that makes sense. For example, like I feel like in the metaverse, I don't know how like the controls work or whatever, but like what if you could just teleport to the other side of the world? Like you see how that dude was talking to his girlfriend like, oh yeah, everything's all good here, and then he teleported to a beach. If you really switch consciousness over to the metaverse, that could probably put us in a different dimension. If that's possible, couldn't the creators of the metaverse like abuse their powers? Like, you know what I'm saying, control everything, have like certain privileges to people, stuff like, you know what I'm saying? Like what are the laws in the metaverse? That's what it's gonna have to get down to.
Now this is something you're going to want to watch. Now Mark Zuckerberg said that they chose to rename Facebook because what the company has in store for the future is so much bigger than simply social media that's limited to apps and screens. Now they've named it Meta because they've been developing a new metaverse where everyone in the world can hang out, play games, communicate, all in a virtual environment. Sounds like the world of Ready Player One is closer than we thought. Now the best way to think of Facebook's metaverse is basically a virtual reality Sims. And instead of random characters that you interact with, it will be real people. They'll be your friends on Facebook, or perhaps people that you've never even met before. And instead of pressing buttons to touch things, you'll be able to physically interact with this new metaverse with the technology that they're developing. Now to enter this metaverse, you simply chuck on your virtual reality headset and then enter the home that you've designed and enter the body that you've designed too. You and your friends will be able to enter crazy spaces and entire worlds that are designed by top creators from all all around the globe. And NFTs might become a whole lot bigger than they already are because you'll be able to bring over anything that can be represented digitally into the metaverse, like photos, videos, art, music, movies, books, games, you name it. And you will be able to go to work and get paid in the metaverse. And since working remotely over the last couple of years is now commonplace, I imagine that this will probably be at the forefront. And to show Mark Zuckerberg is serious, he said that they intend to subsidize or sell their metaverse tech at cost in order for everyone to be able to access this world. And this world is a lot closer than you already think because they've got a whole bunch of tech that they've announced that they are already working on, like the Nazare glasses, Horizon Home, AI facial recognition that can track your facial expressions and movements to a high level of sophistication. But the question is, does all of this leave you feeling excited or terrified?
Can you explain quickly what metaverse means?
It's a digital world. Facebook, again, just changed their name to Meta. Like, that is insane. This generation will be defined by the war on digital sovereignty. I just don't believe there is any other future besides one where your digital life becomes extremely, extremely meaningful to you, so much so that it's painful to take off the glasses.
Here's how to make money in the metaverse. Become a virtual architect, or create vehicles. Or what about designing trees and gardens? I mean, this list can go forever, but I think you get the point. Becoming a 3D artist can give you an endless range of companies that you can build in the metaverse. And the best part is the rules of gravity don't apply, so nothing has to make sense.
There's a hot topic spreading online about sexual assault in the metaverse, which, as many of you know, is a virtual reality you can access with a VR headset and meet people. There's a bunch of 12-year-old boys sexually assaulting girls virtually in a game. Now, this is a serious matter. I'm not saying it's a joke, they're just kids, but it concerns me that people are comparing this to actual. This to me is not fair to actual victims of real-life sexual assault. Bear in mind, when you're in a video game in VR, you are within a safe zone in your own home. No one knows how you look like or any of your personal information. The only information they can access is your username, your voice, and maybe your profile picture. Now, the users that commit such assault must be reported to the platform and the authorities, and their actions constitute a criminal offense. But please, do not call this.
Yeah, I kind of agree because, like, at the end of the day, you're not physically getting hurt. Like, mentally, maybe, but, like, isn't it a device? Couldn't you just turn it off or block the user?
Have a favorite feature to use in here?
Yeah.
Something that you think is very cool?
Check this out.
Wow.
So that's pretty neat.
Do you own any digital real estate?
What?
Do you own any digital real estate?
I'm going to ask you again. What?
I mean, I know
What do
you
you mean
have,
by
like, a house and
digital
everything.
real estate? What does
Meaning
that mean?
you don't. It's real estate in the metaverse. Like you own it. It's real estate. I don't understand. You're such a boomer. You got to get involved in this, man. I'm telling you. This is the future.
Like, yeah, Atari is invested in here. This is Snoop's little plot down here, but all these green areas are owned by other people.
Plot. Do you have a plot?
This is where? What is this?
This would be the Sandbox metaverse.
So there's metaverses? There'll be the Facebook
Oh,
metaverse?
dude, for sure there's a ton of metaverses. You can't afford to be in certain metaverses. Certain metaverses you can.
Which one could I not afford to be in?
Not you specifically, but I'm talking about regular people like myself. I don't know that I can afford this metaverse. But I'm going to start in another metaverse and work hard.
If you got...
Listen, the country's over. Have a little fun.
This is what the metaverse will look like in 5 years. People will start strapping themselves to machines like this to simulate zero gravity with omnidirectional treadmills to fully immerse themselves in a virtual reality environment. Finally, people can start experiencing what it's like being outside. What do you think? Follow for more metaverse news.
Inside the Facebook Metaverse, Part 2. Alright, y'all, we're in a big, scary Facebook Metaverse. Facebook Metaverse platform, Metaverse platform, whatever you want to call it. That was it.
What's up, dude? Yeah, this is actually pretty badass.
Cool.
I just downloaded this too. I did it by accident. This is pretty badass. I'm just hoping it's a lot of positive community, though. You know what I mean? Because you could get an Xbox and it's just a lot of really negative stuff, right?
Yeah.
Being
Well,
like
actually, I
this,
just
actually have an avatar.
I think it
You know what
feels
I'm
different.
saying?
Like,
I saw
it
there's
makes
already
it
been a
feel
case
better.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's been a case of sexual harassment already.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I can see that. Well, there's a couple games on VR where people are freaking going, you know, like.
Have you ever heard of VR chat?
Yeah, I was about to say the VR chat.
VR
the
chat
chat
gets really
room
dark.
shit.
Yeah, that shit gets dark. Like
Oh hell yeah!
yeah,
because you could turn into all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, and they even do things.
We need to talk about assault in the metaverse. A woman was recently groped in Horizon Worlds.
Please get the hell away from me now.
Dude, back off.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I cannot take VR like assault seriously. Isn't assault like a physical injury? Like, I just can't take it seriously. In my head, it's just literally just log off or literally just go to a different server or something. Like,
Facebook has stated that they don't want to be known as a social media company in the future, but a metaverse company. And the metaverse is a space that hundreds of companies are betting on. So the logical next question, what the heck is the metaverse? In general terms, think of the metaverse like a virtual or digital world that we can access via the internet. And in this digital world, we can play and socialize, like go to an art class. We can go to work in the form of avatars. We can put on our virtual reality headset and enter into a different digital space. Kind of like being in a video game or like The Sims, but so much bigger than that. Ariana Grande had a whole concert in the metaverse by creating an avatar, and then you could put on your headset and tune into the concert. You and your friends in the form of avatars could go to a painting class. But the metaverse isn't about just being locked in this video game sim style of environment. It's so much more than that. It's the blending of the virtual world and the real world. When you're walking down the street, you have augmented reality goggles on and it shows you directions like this. When you go and buy your coffee, it could look more like this. Facebook's version of the metaverse looks like this. We put on our headsets and go to work like this. And you would buy things in the metaverse just like you buy things in the real world. Like you would buy digital clothes for your avatar instead of real world clothes for your real world self. You would buy concert tickets to concerts happening in the metaverse. You just access them digitally. But there's a catch. The space doesn't actually really exist yet. Kind of does. Video games like Roblox or Fortnite could be considered metaverse. But the metaverse that Facebook is betting on and a lot of other companies are betting on doesn't actually exist yet. It would require all of us to be there and be going about our daily lives there. And if you're weirded out, well, you're not alone. The future is going to be a crazy place.
So this country is moving full-time into the metaverse.
As our land disappears, we have no choice but to become the world's first digital nation.
This is Tuvalu. It's a small country in the Pacific Ocean and around 12,000 people live there. And due to rising sea levels, the country may not be around much longer.
Our land, our ocean, our culture are the most precious assets of our people. And to keep them safe from harm, no matter what happens in the physical world, we'll move them to the cloud.
Personally, I think this is a really cool way to preserve history and culture in an immersive way. Let me know what you think in the comments.
My thoughts is if you move everyone to the metaverse, what would happen to their physical body and how would that impact them in the metaverse?
Yo, I seen a commercial about the metaverse.
Really?
It scared the fuck out of me. Like, it was on ESPN. I was watching it, and it was talking about how the metaverse is gonna like change like society. They say they might bring the metaverse for children, for schools. So like you put the glasses on when you're in school, and then you could just live out whatever you're learning. So say you want to go back in time and learn about the dinosaurs, you can go back.
That's cool.
I know, but like that's creepy.
That is.
Simulation, people. Like I be thinking in my head, like I'm a sick bro. Like I be thinking in my head, like what if I'm the only real person and everybody else is fake?
Sometimes I be thinking like that too. I be like, is he a bot? Like
me too. Like I'm like I swear there be people in my life that be like bots.
Like if I'm in my house and like my parents are just sitting there and I'm just looking at everybody in my house, I'd be like, what if they're just not real and I'm the only real person right now?
That's what I'm saying. Like there's no proof saying that I'm real to you.
Are
You're real
you
to
real?
me. I think I'm real.
But what if you're a robot saying that right now?
Police are investigating the first ever case of virtual rape in the metaverse. Here's what happened. A girl under the age of 16 was reportedly left distraught when her avatar or digital character was gang raped by online strangers, who were adult men in virtual reality. She was using a VR headset, which looks like one of these, and her avatar was in a large online room with other users. The victim, whose identity has been protected, did not suffer any physical injuries as there was no physical attack. Police say she still suffered the same psychological and emotional trauma as a real-world attack. This is because a VR headset is designed to create an immersive experience. Similar incidents have happened in the world of VR. For example, there have been a number of reported sex attacks on this free VR online game, Horizon Worlds, run by the owner of Facebook, Meta, but this is thought to be the first case to be investigated by police in the UK. The incident has led police to call for more laws to tackle sexual offences happening in the virtual world. There have also been concerns that the rise of VR will create more opportunities for cybercrime like virtual robbery, identity theft and fraud. A spokesperson for Meta told the Daily Mail, "This kind of behaviour described has no place on our platform. If you would like some more information on how to keep safe when using VR, check out the link in our bio."
This is the Sphere in Las Vegas. U2 played there over the weekend. They are prepping you for the metaverse. If you don't know what the metaverse is or why they would want you in the metaverse, do some research and eyes and ears open for.
I'm convinced that I can live in the metaverse for my entire life. Literally no problems with me living in the metaverse. Is that exit? One is like, you can't live in the metaverse. You live in the metaverse. I'm like, of course I can live in the metaverse. Oh, shit. Founders Inc. Hold on. Is this part of it? Yep. Looks like he's making a cake. Oh, he's pitching now? He's our CTO. He's good. He's good. He looks lost. Nice to meet you.
She's not a real girl.
We are already living in the metaverse. Whether you want to admit it or not, this is insane. Over there in Paris, look how many phones there are for this countdown. And not one person take their phone down after either. Like, I'm just looking for one person to just actually take it in with their eyes and just like, oh, take in the view and the experience and feel it. But this phone that I'm talking into right now, it got us trapped, people. We living in a different reality that we think is our own reality, but it's really just to show other people what we were at or experienced, where it's like, hey, just live in the moment. You're not going to remember the actual fireworks. You only going to remember yourself recording, trying to get a good shot. That's the thing I feel like that needs to be talked about, because I want you to take a minute and think about your memories and what you can visualize, and I promise you, it will never be of something that you recorded on your phone. It will be a sunset, a concert, a moment of travel, a time out, but it will be seen with your own eyes. It's not from what you recorded. Of course, you can always look back on videos, but it's not the same as remembering that experience and feeling that feeling. I'm telling you, y'all, put the phone down.
Damn, bro, you ain't have to get stern with me. I mean, at the end of the day, dude, we're moving towards the future. I think the phones are the least of our problems now. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like they've been integrated so much that not a lot of people care anymore. And I feel like with the phones, you could always, like as he said, look back. And I feel like a lot of people record things to look back on it, not necessarily to like remember it in their head. Like, I can't show you my memory.
Hey, buddy, what happened that one time in December?
Oh, let me show you my memory. You could just show them a video. I guess you could say there's a lot more with videos, I guess you could say.
In virtual reality, you can do anything while simultaneously doing nothing. Isn't the metaverse just a boring pixelated role-playing game? It's not just a game. VR is like a streaming service for human experiences you can't afford. Sounds like a lot of drugs, sex, and violence. I was thinking more traveling to space or raising a pet whale, but sure. It just doesn't seem healthy to be staring at a screen all day. We spend most of our day on the phone anyway. Why not make it more immersive so you're less distractible? I thought the phone was the distraction, not real life. Once VR can immerse all of our senses in a digital world, it'll be indistinguishable from real life. But we'll still have bodies to take care of. Can't injure yourself in VR. No car crashes, bar fights, or muggings. And if you're sick, doctors will be able to diagnose you from your living room. Sitting on a couch all day will atrophy your muscles. Just exercise in the metaverse. No one's actually going to do that. Why would anyone work out if they don't need their body for anything? And no one's ever going to see it. And doesn't the lack of sunlight screw up your circadian rhythm? Artificial sunlight exposure. But we need direct contact with nature. Fill your house with plants. Somebody's got to water them. Augmented reality. What about showers? Waterproof headsets. Or you could just take it off. Ooh, scandalous. Someone is going to have to live in the real world to supply electricity and resources to these devices. Those will be the unlucky few. Let's hope those unlucky few don't notice how easy it is to steal from a world full of people playing Beat Saber. There won't be anything to steal. All of our money and assets will be digital and protected by the physical blockchain. Spaces will be a useless luxury once we start living on digital plots of land. But then everything you find valuable will rely on the financial success of tech companies. Do you understand the kind of leverage you're giving them? That seems like a fair trade for equality and abundance. Where's the equality for people in third world countries who can't afford a headset or high-speed internet? Headsets are getting cheaper. Yay, soon they'll be starving, homeless, and entertained. No matter how realistic it looks, VR doesn't possess the complexity of real life. People don't want complexity. They want freedom covered in safety. Safety? Imagine a child jumping off buildings and flying around the metaverse and then thinking he can do it after he takes off his headset. More reason to stay inside the metaverse where it's safe. So we're just giving up on saving the world. We know that less human activity is better for the environment. You don't think there's an environmental toll for powering the metaverse? But it would be the end of war. Instead of bombing each other, world leaders can simulate the fighting based on each other's resources to to predict outcomes and negotiate treaties. You think Putin is going to accept defeat based on a game of Call of Duty? Why fight in real life if you've already seen the outcome in VR? No one has to die. But they'll still be manipulated. You know when you see an advertisement that matches a conversation you thought you were having in private? Yeah? Imagine a world where these companies no longer have to figure out what you're interested in. They can simply immerse you in a world, a community of bots that prime and peer pressure you to buy their products. But peer pressure won't have the same power there because your identity isn't static. You can be anything or anyone that you want. But the more we pretend to be something we're not, the less time we spend getting to know who we are, whoever we think we are. No, we are a specific relationship between our genes and ignoring our genetic components will lead us to a life that's not right for us. But at least we won't be bullied for attributes we can't control. You'll just get bullied for something else. Except it'll be worse. A random mean tweet or comment is now going to feel like a real person verbally abusing you. But blocking them will be easy. No need to see them at work or school. One button and they're out of your life. But that doesn't teach you how to communicate and resolve conflict. But some people have social anxiety. The metaverse is a place they can find acceptance, purpose, and even love. If we start dating bots that can love us the way we want to be loved, that will be the end of loneliness and the end of human interaction. Imagine ex-convicts or even people in prison doing jobs or being rehabilitated in VR without posing a threat to society. Sounds like trading one prison for another. It's not prison, it's possibility. Imagine what artists will be able to create. How will artists have anything to say about being human when they live as digital cartoons? Life in there will have its own culture, its own problems, its own pleasures that will produce art that's relevant to people who live in the metaverse. This is going to split humanity in two. Those who are rich and healthy living in the real world and people whose physical life sucks living in the metaverse. Until the rich realize they can digitize their consciousness into the metaverse and free themselves from their body and from death. Until someone hits the off switch. What Why can't I feel my legs? Are we dead? Okay, all better now. You can't escape yourself. Whether you choose to live in your brain simulation of the world or your brain simulation of the metaverse, your mind will follow you wherever you go, altering your perception of each reality to reflect your own mental state. So even if the world we choose to live in changes the way we do things, our experience of it will only be as inspiring, scary, cruel, or kind as the voices in our heads.
Yeah, man, all I'm gonna say is the first country to have 90% of its citizens in the metaverse is the first country that will fall. That's all I'm saying. I'm out of here.
This genuinely makes no sense at all. What kind of optical illusion is this? It's so far away. That doesn't make any sense. Hold on. I'm doing it again. I'm backing up. I'm backing up. And then I'm... Bro. How is it doing that? That doesn't make any sense at all.
Am I tripping, or did this damn cloud start moving when I said, "What is that?"
Yo. No other cloud around this cloud. What the hell? What is that?
The sky just glitched in front of hundreds of people and they got it all on camera. This is insane. Have you ever seen the sky do anything like this? Something's not adding up. Thanks for watching. As always, stay weird.
I genuinely wonder what they were yelling about though. Like, to me, it kind of looked like a camera glare. Like the camera couldn't really focus too much on the spotlight because it's a bright sun. So I don't really know.
Guys, this girl keeps repeating the same thing over and over. She's gonna get out of her car. Watch her. She's done this 3 times. She's going to get out of her car. She's going to walk around the front. She's going to go get in the passenger side. All right, watch her. This is super creepy. I don't know if it's like a glitch or what. Now she's going to get out and she's going to walk around the back of the car. Okay? She's going to walk around the back of the car and then she's going to get in. She's done this 3 times. She does it every 10 minutes. I'm just sitting in the parking lot. Now she's going to look to the right, and then she's going to go. Now, whenever she leaves, she's going to go over here, and then she's going to take a right and leave out of the parking lot. Like, the first 2 times, what is going on? Now she's going to go, and she's going to go to the highway over there. She goes up to the highway over there, takes a right, and then heads back.
Yes, I know that I am high right now, but look at this lady. She is hitting a tennis ball against absolutely no surface, and it's just bouncing back to her. Like, look at it. How is it doing that?
I may sound really stupid saying this, but this doesn't make any sense. So this water is constantly flowing downstream, coming from this water source. Where does this water come from? So let's just say there's a lake all the way upstream, somewhere up there. How does the lake continue to supply this water for this river without the lake ever emptying? Because look how fast this water is traveling. Look how much water is going down there every second. Again, I know I may sound stupid, but I challenge one person to tell me the answer without looking it up. I bet you can't.
Glitch in the Matrix caught on camera the 9th of October 2023. Reality glitches caught on camera.
So I just pull back my bed and I'm thinking, oh shit, like I broke a nail, right? Because it's right here. So I'm like, okay, I'm checking. Bitch, where's the broken nail? Did something just glitch?
No, my fear is happening. My fear is happening. Not being able to get to my car in a parking garage. There's my car. Yep, okay. If I go down that way, that brings me down. So, I'm walking up. But when I round the corner, nothing. So now I'm coming back down. I'm so confused. I know I'm on level 3, but like, why can't I get right there? I'm gonna have to freaking hop the barrier. I saw another post on TikTok once, and this was the same thing, and it was like an obstacle course. Why? I don't understand. Help me. See, now I just walked from up there. That's going back down. That's not where I need to be. Do I jump the ledge?
This is why you should never touch a falling cloud, because although it looks very cool, it's not possible for a real cloud to fall as a solid mass since they're too light. So this is most likely water vapor or dangerous gas from a nearby mine.
Should swallow one piece of gum every 7 years. Okay, so we all know we live in a big simulation, right? Everything around us is computer generated, right? That there's one thing that isn't part of the simulation. That's gum. Gum is weird. You chew it. You could just chew forever. That's because gum comes from outside of the simulation. Gum is real. Okay, so you also know if you swallow gum, it stays in your system for 7 years. And every cell in your body changes every 7 years, right? And the 7-year itch, you change personalities every 7 years. That's because every 7 years, they come from the outside, and they take you away and put a whole new you in there, and they can change you any way they want. But if you swallow the gum, then they can't, because the gum...
I like how he didn't even say anything. He just put on a cap to say he was lying. I mean... I guess he knows more than me. You know what's crazy about those TikToks? You don't even know if those people are doctors for real. They just have put on a doctor suit and just say whatever. And then people are just like, oh yeah, he has a doctor suit on. He's right.
Hot. Craziest Matrix glitch I've ever seen.
Explain this. The same exact truck. Up until the doors of the dealership. And look, if you go over here, it's the same.
Proof that we're all living in a simulation. This blowtorch wasn't connected to the gas cylinder, so how's this possible? It's literally impossible for this to happen. There's no explanation. This building didn't load properly and a big chunk of it is missing. This liquid is called glyphosate and it looks like an animation when it's being poured. And no, this is not slow motion. Before I show you the best one, I just found a way to prank your friends by spam texting them at maximum speed. Try it out by pressing here on my profile, then press spam text your friends. This police car glitched halfway through the ground and got stuck.
I have a question for you, right? Yeah. If you sit in a room, quiet room, just close the door, turn off the lights, by yourself, right? Yeah. Would you say there's music playing?
Yeah, I'm gonna just go with the regular answer, no.
Check this out. This is real science. Look, look at a radio. A radio can pick up frequencies and what? play music.
Yeah.
But that frequency is always there. Think about it.
Okay.
You're sitting in that room by yourself.
Yeah.
Music is playing. You just can't hear it. If you take a radio, put it beside you, the radio can hear it, and the radio can pick up the signal, but your brain can't. The radio just translate it to a frequency we can hear.
You can hear.
Yeah.
Oh.
So on some brainwash shit, right? What if these frequencies, these radio frequencies, who knows? Maybe there's even like deeper shit that we don't even know about.
Yeah.
Like advanced technology we don't even know the name of, right? What if there's stuff like that that they're playing that we can't hear, or we think we can't hear, but our subconscious can? And now there's studies, this is real studies.
Yeah.
Most people in the city have.
Damn, I was actually kind of curious of what he was about to say. Most people in the city have. But I wouldn't even doubt that. I'd be thinking that sometimes, because sometimes I come to, like, I'll travel certain different countries and I feel way less stress in different countries than I do in America. Like, I don't know how to explain that.
Another example of something that can seem to break reality and give you a headache at the same time. CCTV cameras in this building caught this man going up the stairs, yet still what happens next is a pure glitch in the matrix. He accidentally walked below the tiles on the floor. This is impossible, but we saw it happen for ourselves and was caught on camera. The man in the video also realized for himself what just happened. He walks backwards and tries it again. Did he just break all the rules of science right before our eyes?
So this video has convinced me that we're living in a simulation. Check it out. No, because this bird is straight up glitching. That is a glitch in the matrix. Some people said that there could be like an invisible fishing line, but that in the middle of the sky? Somebody explain this to me. Like, I genuinely am curious. Just let me know your thoughts in the comments below.
I was on a plane recently when I discovered undeniable evidence that we are in fact living in a simulation. As you can see here, the ocean water seems to not have rendered completely. The texture of the water is completely off. You can also clearly see pathways in between the texture. This could be a means of transportation among interdimensional beings. When have you ever seen water have the texture of an ashy elbow?
I want to hear all of your glitch in the matrix, unexplainable, weird stories, because they are fascinating to me. And we can make this a series. This can be episode 1 because I have plenty of them. This one's my mom's. She was driving from Atlanta to North Carolina. It's the middle of the night. She's on the phone with my grandma, and my grandma is helping her over maps, Google Maps, because my mom was running out of gas and she was panicking a little bit because she was in the middle of fucking nowhere, okay? Finally, over the hill, she sees a lit up beautiful gas station. So she pulls in, she pumps her gas, uses her card, and then she goes to walk in to pee before she leaves. So she's walking towards the door, and as she gets to the door, her mom called her and goes, "You ran out of gas, didn't you?" And my mom's like, "No, I'm at a gas station. Is my car, do you not see it?" She said, "No, your car's like parked in the middle of nowhere. Where are you?" And she said, I'm at a gas station." And as she's saying that, she goes to pull the door and it's locked. And she looks up and there's a close sign, and she was like, "Oh, I just got gas, that's weird." She turns around, everything's dark. No lights on, no people, no cars, bars on the windows, boarded up windows, a completely abandoned gas station. Ugh, it makes me want to throw up thinking about it. So of course, like any normal human, my mom's like, I've lost my mind, or I've fallen into a different dimension. She speeds off, gets on the interstate, completely weirded out, looks at her gas tank, her gas is full. She got gas at this non-existent gas station. It's not on her credit card history, nothing. They go back, look on maps, there's no gas station there. Never figured it out. It's been years.
Everybody knows something's up. Everybody knows. That is not normal. Everyone is looking up, wondering why the sky is split. Look. The sky is broken. And everybody knows something's fishy, don't you? It's fishy, ain't it?
You know, that's the first time I ever seen this.
That's right.
The internet really has people believing that we're living in a simulation. You may have seen videos like this where people are noticing weird formations of clouds in the sky, where it makes it look like the sky is split in two. You may have even seen other ones where birds aren't moving. There's even ones where there's clouds and some of the clouds are moving, but then other ones are at a standstill. The phenomenon described here, where the sky appears to be split into different parts, might be caused by a combination of atmospheric conditions and the position of the sun. The appearance of the sky can vary based on the cloud coverage, the types of clouds, and how they interact with the sunlight. When clouds are spread out and cover large positions of the sky, they can create visually striking patterns that may seem like the sky is divided into different sections. The intensity of the angle of the sunlight can also play a role, casting shadows, creating contrast between different cloud formations, further enhancing the effect. Or it could all be a part of that one conspiracy, the HARP project.
I just experienced my first glitch in the Matrix. I found these in the passenger door yesterday after looking for 3 days for these motherfuckers. Finally found them yesterday morning, wore them all day. I just opened my passenger door and I found these in the same fucking place. I've never bought two in my life. They're the exact same pair of glasses. The only time I've ever bought another pair is when one has been broken, and they're both not broken. So where the fuck has this come from?
I know y'all ain't seen this right here yet. This is the actual first real life glitch that I caught. This plane is not moving. It's not moving. Watch. Look, it's not even moving. That plane is not moving. No, it's not CGI. That is a plane. It is not moving. Do y'all see this? Are y'all seeing this? That plane is not moving. Dude, this is proof. We live in a simulation. We live in a simulation. It is not moving. Look, it's not even moving. That plane is not moving. No, it's not CGI. That is a plane. It is not moving. Do y'all see this?
Listen, I'm not a crazy conspiracy theorist, but that is the sun going down over there. Am I correct about that? Now look at this. Directly behind me. What is that? I'm not a flat earther by any means, but that and that can't both be the sun. So what the hell is happening? There's nothing moving behind those clouds. It's just a big bright ball. And then that's the sun going down in the west by the ocean. So what the fuck?
Everybody knows something's up. Everybody knows. That is not normal. Everyone is looking up, wondering why the sky is split.
God, guys. Oh my god.
Okay, I'm confused about this backyard here. Oh. Like, this is supposed to be my backyard, right? And then when I go downstairs, I know it's not gonna be the same. What the shit? I'm literally confused. I swear. I don't know. Like, where's all my cans?
I think she's lagging in real life. What is happening? What? What? What?
I think the one with her hair might be static electricity. That's my first guess. I'm not like really fully sure, but that's the only explanation, unless that really was a glitch.
So this is what the sun shuttle looks like in Chicago. See, that's normal. That's not really normal. That's normal. That's normal. And this way. It's normal. That's not normal.
So, I'm just at the airport, right? And I zoom in. What the fuck? 2 moons in the sky? Huh?
It's moving again. So crazy.
I think my seagull barks. Watch this.
Why are our shadows not as dark as the bar shadows? Tinha cachorro, isso? O cachorro botou um pescoço aqui no telhado? Ih, gente, é um gato!
Okay, where is this car that's reflecting on this Boston Pizza window? It's a Corvette C8. I seriously don't see that car anywhere.
Yes, I know that I am high right now, but look at this lady. She is hitting a tennis ball against absolutely no surface, and it's just bouncing back to her. Like, look at it. How is it doing that?
Got this watermelon at Walmart, and I like to rinse my watermelon before I cut it, and it's like pinning. Does anybody has?
Reality glitches caught on camera.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Over there, it's over there, it's over there. It's like that.
What the fuck? What the hell is that?
What the fuck? Yo, you good? There's a glitch in reality here. He witnessed it. This just happened. The board stopped when I kept going. It's stuck here. By some force of nature.
The sky isn't looking pretty at all. Ooh. Strange looking sky. Whoa.
An unusual sky began to form, casting strange shapes and shadows. One person commented, "Pretty, but dangerous." Another asked, "Is this a simulation or planet Earth?" The clouds loomed overhead, thick and unnatural, leaving people wondering what was really brewing in the skies above. As the sky grew darker and more ominous, people couldn't help but feel uneasy.
Someone joked, living in the Truman Show, while others compared it to scenes from horror movies like Stranger Things and Nope. The clouds seemed almost alive, twisting and swirling with an intensity that didn't feel natural. It was a sky that whispered of something more, something people were just beginning to sense. Minutes passed and the sky grew heavier, almost suffocating. God's creation, one person said, while another warned, just wait and watch. Some even saw it as an omen, murmuring, end of times. As the storm prepared to break, it was clear this wasn't just another rain cloud. Whatever was coming, it had stirred something deep, something primal in everyone watching, as if they weren't just looking at a storm, but something far darker.
I was on the phone with my boyfriend at 9:59, and I looked at the clock and I was like, let me go to bed. Let me let you go, because I want to go to bed at exactly 10, lights out. Within the minute, I want to have my eyes closed, everything off, because I like to go to bed at even times. And hung up on him, closed my eyes, and then I was like, well, let me set an alarm really quick so I don't sleep until some obscene hour. Turn my phone back on. I'm setting an alarm. I just happened to glance at the time because I'm like, oh, okay, I want to make sure it's not 10:01, because if it's 10:01, I'm going to have to wait till 10:30 to go to sleep, so I'm going to scroll on TikTok for 29 minutes. Check the time. I look at the time. It's 3:30 a.m. Like on the dot, 3:30 a.m. And I was like, okay, that's not right. So I check my iPad and I check my computer, and they both say 3:30 a.m. And so I go downstairs and I check the clock on the stove, 3:31 a.m. I'm like checking every clock in the house. It's 3:30. And I'm like, did I just die and come back to life like 5.5 hours later? Because that's what it feels like. I genuinely don't know what just happened. Like, I guess I was asleep, but it was like a stream of consciousness though. Like, I had the same thought when I woke up that I had when I was going to bed. Like, I need to check and set my alarm before it turns 10:01, or I'm gonna have to stay up until 10:30. Like, that was the thought process I had. And I literally blinked. Like, I literally blinked. Next day, 5.5 hours later, I checked like all the messages I had sent right before I went to bed, and like sure enough, they were like delivered 5.5 hours, 5 hours before. And I'm like, oh my god, what just happened? What just happened? Like, it literally, I just ceased to exist in between 10 and 3:30 apparently, because I have no recollection. Like, it, bam. The only thing I can equate this to is whenever I got my wisdom teeth taken out and I went under anesthesia, and I was counting down, and then all of a sudden I was waking up and they were telling me that I was done, and I started crying because I was scared because it didn't feel right. I felt like I was being messed with. And then I had a nap a couple years ago that I remember was like this. Like, I literally blinked and then it was like dark outside and I had gone to bed when it was light, and I remember thinking that was super weird. But this is much weirder because I wasn't that tired when I went to bed, and that time that I took that nap, I was dog tired. I was so tired. But so it was explainable. This is not explainable because I wasn't that tired and I woke up with the exact same thought. Like, can anyone explain to me what kind of sleep that is? Because I've been trying to research it, but I can't put it into words to form a Google search. So if anyone knows, like if there's a medical professional that knows what that kind of sleep is called, please let me know, because I'm fascinated and freaked out at the same time. Okay.
I don't understand why she was trying to overcomplicate it so much. Like, you just fell asleep. She was like, did I die? Like, you just fell asleep. That's really what it was.
Glitch in the Matrix captured on camera.
Alright, everybody sees me walking. I'm walking. Look. This plane isn't moving. It's not moving. But it sounds like it's moving.
Okay, so physics just confirmed something that sounds completely insane, but time mirrors are real. We're not talking about regular mirrors that reflect your image. We're talking about temporal mirrors, where a wave doesn't just bounce off and go backwards in space. It literally retraces its path back through time. Scientists have changed the electromagnetic field of a material so fast it made waves go backward in time, like rewinding reality, like pressing undo on the universe. This isn't sci-fi anymore. This is real. This is experimental physics catching up to what mystics, mushrooms, and mad geniuses have been saying for decades. Time is not a line. It's a wave. And baby, we are just learning to surf it. If this just blew your mind, please hit that follow button, drop a comment, and share with your friends. Let's start exploring the quantum realm. Let's surf the quantum realm together, guys. Mine and time bending. What?
If that's true, that's crazy, and that's going to be a lot of future breakthroughs that we're going to have. If that also blew your mind, like the video right now, because that's actually insane.
Here's a glitch in the Matrix story that sounds straight out of a Stephen King movie. He does write books too. Straight out of a Stephen King novel even. Now this story comes from a lady named Max who said that she had the most insane commute to work one morning. She says, I've always taken the same route to work every single day. Same streets, same turns, no exception. It's a 20-minute drive, nothing fancy. I could probably do it blindfolded if it wasn't for, traffic laws. I feel that. One morning last April, I pulled out of the driveway like usual. The clock on the dashboard read 7:32, right on time. That's the same time I leave for work every morning. I even remember the song that was playing on the radio when I looked at the clock. It was Journey, Don't Stop Believin'. Nice. But when I got to the first intersection, the light was green. And to me, that was weird, because I never hit the first light green. I might hit one out of the 5 stoplights green, but never the first one. I looked down at the clock, 7:32. The Journey song is still playing on the radio. I kept going, second stoplight, another green light. The third stoplight, another green light. By the time I hit the 5th intersection without stopping, I started feeling like I was the main character in some video game. 1 traffic light green, never 5, never one time all 5. That's when I realized I had not passed a car. No car has passed me. I looked around. The roads are essentially empty. I felt like I was driving through a ghost town. I saw people on the sidewalks, but I didn't see any cars. When I passed the 5th stoplight, I looked at the clock and it was still 7:32. And then I realized that the Journey song had stopped playing. I looked at myself in the rearview mirror and pulled my phone out and it said 7:32. I got goosebumps all over my body. I sped up. When I made the last left turn before I pulled into my office parking lot, I saw a man standing on the sidewalk. He was just standing there, dressed in an all-black suit, holding a briefcase, but he wasn't moving. He stood there like he was frozen. He might as well have been a mannequin. I went to turn into the office parking lot, and the security gate was wide open. We have a strict policy where we have to swipe our badges on entering and exiting the parking lot. I tried to swipe my badge, even though the gate was open, it would not work, so I just continued through the gate. When I pulled into my assigned parking spot at the office, I looked at the clock and it was still 7:32. I opened up my phone, 7:32. I looked at myself in the mirror, knowing I was going to look a wreck because I was sweating profusely at this point. And I was. I looked disheveled. I had been driving for about 20 minutes, but no time had passed. At least I thought. I sat there staring at the building when my phone buzzed. It was a text message from my boss saying, "Are you okay? You missed the morning meeting." I looked at the clock again and it said 8:46 a.m. I had been sitting there for over an hour. I didn't even get out of the car. I just texted my boss back, "Sorry, I'm sick. I'm going to take a sick day." And I drove out of that parking lot and back out onto the highway. When I got back out on the highway heading home, you would not believe the sigh of relief that I breathed when I saw the first red light. And yeah, every single light was red on the way home. Now that story might sound a little bit crazy, but I have had so many people send me stories that were way weirder than this one. This lady has sent me this story 5 times, dating back for the last year and a half. And she seems like a pretty level-headed lady, other than the fact that she follows me. Damn it, man.
That's such like an optical illusion, because from the plane point of view, it kind of looks like snow. Like I thought it was just people in snow just like playing around, but that's literally the clouds. And you can see the ocean beneath it, so that's how you really know it's the clouds. It's actually kind of strange.
So this man accidentally paraglided into Area 51, and things went downhill fast. He was just out flying for fun, enjoying the view, when a strong gust of wind pushed him off course. Next thing he knew, he was landing in the middle of the most secretive military base in the world. Within minutes, he was surrounded by armed guards and arrested on the spot. And the worst part? He had a camera strapped to his paraglider. To the military, that wasn't an accident. It was a surveillance mission. They assumed he was a spy. For the next 6 hours, they interrogated him non-stop. No breaks, no food, no answers. Meanwhile, his wife was panicking until she finally got a phone call at 2 a.m. A voice told her to drive alone to a random location deep in the desert. When she got there, she saw her husband standing beside a military officer. They told her he'd be released only if they both signed an affidavit swearing they'd never been to Area 51. Obviously, they signed it immediately. His paraglider and camera were returned, but every bit of footage had been wiped. And here's the creepiest part. When his wife asked him what he saw in Area 51, he said he didn't remember anything. Not the landing, not the guards, not a single detail. Just a blank space in his memory. And that's when things got really weird.
Yo, Area 51 is funny for that. They really said a guy paragliding with a camera is a spy, dude. That's like some 1851 type beat, bro. That's hilarious. That's gotta be the craziest way to try to spy on like a facility as important as Area 51.
Conspiracy has always freaked me out. Allegedly, when Avril Lavigne debuted in 2002, she found the fame incredibly difficult to handle, so her label employed a lookalike. An actress named Melissa Vandella, who was typically used for paparazzi diversions as well as red carpet events. But it was reported that around this time, Avril Lavigne ended things due to severe depression, but a record label, having already invested millions of dollars, still did own the commercial name Avril Lavigne. The theory being that Melissa Vandella was then trained and employed to step into her place full time and just assumed this role of Avril. But the reason people believe this theory is that they've mostly spotted the key differences in just how much Avril has changed between 03 and 04. Physically, yes, but even her handwriting seemed to change, and the most perplexing being her speaking voice.
I want to be singing someone else's lyrics. I want to be singing mine and what came from my heart and my opinions and how I believe and how I think.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here for the grand opening of Koi. It's my favorite restaurant. It's my favorite sushi restaurant in the world.
But what freaks me out the most about this is that if you look up articles about this conspiracy when it first broke like 5 years ago, most of the videos and pictures supporting the story have actually since been deleted. So if there's no truth to it, why?
This is the scariest video on TikTok. So the video is just that trend where you play a scary audio and then you trap someone in a room and record the reaction. Now normally in these videos they'll have like a fake ghost effect, but this one's a little different because it has probably the creepiest thing I've ever seen in a TikTok, and that is this woman. She just stands there and stares the entire time, like she barely moves at all. She's so still the whole time, people are debating whether or not she's even real. Now looking deeper into the account, the woman seems to just be this lady, but they also post a lot of paranormal videos about things that happen in their house, like pictures moving on their own and creepy stuff like that. So maybe this lady is really just a ghost, but I'll let y'all decide that.
Do not watch this video at night, this will freak you out. In the photo behind me is a man named Cody, and while he was home by himself, he was starting to experience some very odd things. He was hearing noises, and it was pretty clear that he thought someone was in the house. And by the way, the footage that I'm about to show you was recorded by him. When he walked over to the bathroom, the lights were flickering. But not only were the lights flickering, but the faucet was on, so he turned the faucet off and left. At this point, Cody got pretty freaked out, so he went outside and called his wife and let her know what was happening. His wife insisted that he would stay outside, however, Cody decided to go back in and do some more filming. When he went back inside, the entire kitchen was a complete mess. Cupboards were open and things were thrown around as seen in this photo, and this right here is the clip of him first walking in. When Cody watched this clip back, he saw something absolutely terrifying in one of the frames. This is the still frame, can you see it? This is what he saw looking out from the corner of his daughter's bedroom door. If I were Cody, I'd be selling my house and moving out immediately.
We talk all the time about people who have disappeared, but we don't often talk about celebrities that have disappeared. We're looking at 3 celebrities who vanished under very mysterious circumstances. NBA star Bison Daly. In 2002, Bison, his girlfriend, his brother, and the captain all set sail on a private boat from Tahiti and did not come back. Weeks later, the boat does dock with just the brother inside and bullet holes patched up. We've never been able to prove this, but the FBI believes the brother was involved and disposed of the bodies overboard. Joe Pitchler was the star of a couple of the Beethoven movies in the early 2000s, but at the age of 18, he completely vanished in 2006 after leaving a note that said he wished he could have been a stronger brother. Though they suspect he ended things himself, his remains have never been found. Patrick Dermott. Patrick isn't exactly a celebrity per se. He was the boyfriend of Olivia Newton-John, who you would know as Sandy from Grease. In 2005, he vanished right off a sailboat. What was odd was all 20 passengers who last saw him all had conflicting testimony.
This is the scariest sound on TikTok. Okay, do you hear the sound playing in the video right now? This audio might be the scariest audio on TikTok, and I'm about to explain why. So this audio is actually made from a cat meowing, and the crazy thing is the cat died immediately after the audio was recorded. And I mean immediately after. And if you play this sound in ×2, you will actually hear a cat meowing. And the only thing the owner of the cat did was slow down the sound. This sound is also believed to be extremely cursed, with multiple people coming out saying after they listened to it, they felt chills over their body that entire day and heard creepy cat meows around their house. Some people also believe that death is connected to this sound, since the cat immediately died after making it. But as of yet, there has been no recorded deaths relating to this song. But if you don't believe me that this is the cat meowing, then put this sound in ×2 and get ready to be terrified. Because after watching this video, you would never look at this sound the same again.
I mean, I feel like you can literally hear the cat meowing in it. And I feel like every TikTok video literally plays that sound. I remember hearing that sound so often. I was just like, is that a cat meowing slowed down? But that's crazy. I didn't know the cat died after making it. R.I.P.
The U.S. Marine that's going on trial against Congress, talking about how he's seen UFOs abducting humans, but the UFOs weren't aliens, they were humans abducting other humans.
What?
Yo.
In the actual is
bro,
going on?
It was a named Michael Hara, and it was in 2009. Like, he had to go do like an Overwatch mission in Indonesia because there was a natural disaster, like a hurricane. So he was over there just making sure the land was good.
Yeah.
And then I guess he was in the jungle and he seen like a UFO like hovering over in the jungle, picking up people. And then he seen like US trucks. Like, he wasn't supposed to be over there. Like, he just wandered off. And then he said like a week or two later, like some unnamed government officials came in. Like, he said these people did not have no name tags. And they was like, yo, you cannot speak about this to your general, can't speak about this to your family, can't speak about this to your platoon, your group. If so, you can get put in prison or they will execute you.
Well, he spoke about it to someone because now we know that story. So either he's in prison or he got executed.
My TV is freaking possessed. Any video I click on YouTube, they have black eyes or blood on them. Check this out. Totally random. Totally random. What the hell? I'm gonna do a totally different video. Check this out. This is supposed to be Family Guy. And it's only YouTube, because look, I'll go to a different app. Hold on. Let me go to my Fire Stick. Watch this. It will be completely normal. I'm on my Fire Stick. It's on the loading screen. It's nothing to do with the screen.
Hey, 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 yo, yo. Yo, hey, yo.
He stayed in that house a split second too long. He waited way too long for that guy to get up out of that hole. I'd have been out of there by the time I seen him. That's crazy.
They say the worst thing you can encounter in the woods is other people.
An outdoorsman was camping in this creepy forest he's been to several times. And as he goes deeper into the woods to explore, he hears this.
I'm not sure if you guys ever seen the Blair Witch Project, but damn, this is just giving me Blair Witch Project vibes. Super cool. Imagine just being lost out here. It feels like this would never end. Oh, hi. What the hell? I need to get out of here. Oh boy. It could have been campers, but this area is extremely secluded. Damn it. I need to find camp. I'm completely disoriented right now.
Celebrities who changed their looks after becoming too famous. Doja
But the
Cat.
thing is, like,
Before.
it's like a peekaboo to, like, what's next. So, like, once you see it from the front, like, that.
And now.
Who made it? Wow. Wow. Okay, so something a little different. So, what was your inspiration for tonight? Wow. Wow. Wow.
Sam Smith.
Before.
Before.
You would have thought the more that you travel, the more okay you get with flying, but I'm finding it really hot.
And now. Melanie Martinez. Before. And now.
This is a sneak peek that nobody knows about. So people have been asking about the Crybaby perfume restock, and we can't do that just because the manufacturer doesn't exist anymore.
Things humans were never meant to see.
Hundreds of birds fall from the sky. The end of rainbow. Rain falls in one spot. Super realistic billboard in New York. River meets ocean. Lightning strikes water. Strange object hits moon.
I wouldn't necessarily say that hit the moon. It looks like it kind of exploded before it hit the moon. Like it exploded. It's kind of like an optical illusion, making it look like it hit the moon. But I feel like that didn't touch the moon.
Hello?
The Simpsons predicted something really disturbing for 2024. In season 24, episode 9, Homer senses trouble and prepares a stocked bunker. Then, Springfield gets hit by a massive solar superstorm. No warning, just chaos. It shuts down everything. No electricity, no internet, total standstill. The show's take on this mirrors what might happen in real life. And now, not long ago, NASA has found a huge hole in the sun, spewing storms at an insane speed of 1.8 million miles per hour towards Earth. The last time we had a storm like this was way back in 1859, the Carrington event. Now, scientists think this 2024 storm could be 60 times stronger than that one, the most powerful ever. These storms could wreak havoc on Earth. Think satellites, power grids, GPS, and worst-case scenario, even wiping out the internet and our tech permanently. Recovering from that might take decades. It's a ticking time bomb, and we might just be on the edge. But did you know that
Darkest performances done by celebrities.
Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift performing witchcraft in the middle of concert. Kanye West. Kanye West doing ritual during his concert and everybody is just cheering. Lil Uzi Vert. Lil having his audience participate in a ritual, this character on the screen telling the crowd to repeat the Lil Uzi Vert 6 times on repeat, and if you say it long enough it starts to sound like Lucifer. Madonna. Madonna doing satanic ritual in front of everyone and people are blindly watching it. Lana Del Rey. A controversial Lana concert where people thought they were hit by a wave of energy, or some say it was a domino effect of people falling, but no one knows what actually happened. Weekend. Satan is shown on the screen in front of everyone, but no one notices it.
Genuinely feel like the Lana Del Rey one was more of just like a domino effect where people fell in front, so then the people behind them start to fall. I mean, that's what makes the most sense. But I feel like a lot of these musicians, a lot of their music contains some type of ritualistic aspect. I don't know what it is that like intrigues the brain about that. I mean, they did say that Lucifer was the leader of the choir, so he definitely is in the music.
Although the sudden appearance of this girl is startling on its own, it's what happens earlier that's by far the most baffling. Immediately after arriving to the second floor, its door, for some reason, begins to open and close while staying on the same floor. But even stranger is that a faint voice is heard inside the elevator.
Those faces genuinely look creepy.
People need to understand that government is at all times 10 to 20 years behind the civilian population. What computer system do you think is still running government computers right now?
Yeah.
Probably one from like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The missile silos that we operate with our nuclear missiles were all approved in the 90s.
Okay.
Right? And the generation before they were upgraded was the 70s, right? So things move very, very slowly in government because there's so much bureaucracy, there's so much red tape, there's so much money that things are always behind.
This is why JSOC units are using civilian equipment and stuff like that.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons that we see such a push towards civilian contractors, civilian technical solutions, is because government solutions just take too long. Government comes to criminals to learn how to fight criminals. Government comes to civilian contractors to do government jobs. Government comes to civilian experts to gain insight to improve the government. Like Deloitte and CACI and Booz Allen are all civilian consultancies hired by the government to try to make the government manage better, handle, HR better, do better accounting, because the government doesn't do it on its own.
I don't know. I've heard the opposite. At least for the U.S. government, I've heard that they're like 10 to 20 years ahead of the civilian population. I don't know. Maybe like the Russians or like some other military forces are behind, but from what I've heard that the government is like 10 to 20 years ahead of us. So if you're seeing this video right now, like it. Let's try to get to like 3,000 plus likes.
Bro, I swear to God, this turkey has been like attached to this grave, circling it for like, bro, for so long now. Like 10, I just started looking 10 minutes ago, but it's probably been doing this all day. Like, what is going on? It's been circling it in circles for so long. It's so crazy. Like, bro, I'm right here next to, I walked over from my car. My friend's grave is over there. That's who I came to visit. And I just look back and I see this. Bro, like I'm right next to it. It's not even doing nothing. It's just circling the grave.
Don't like it, don't like it, don't like it.
This is the craziest shit I've seen so far. I was taking the trash out with my son and he kept pointing at the mirror and waving and I didn't know why. So I pulled the camera out and I can't believe I caught this.
Creepy videos that will give you the chills.
This first video comes to us from a TikTok user known as Johnny Grin, who posted the video to his account on January 13th, 2023. The footage in question may only be 9 seconds long, but it's a chilling 9 seconds that will leave you puzzled. The footage shows Johnny walking around the Appalachian Mountains late at night, all by himself, something that a lot of people would never have the courage or bravery to do, and understandably so. While wandering around the area, Johnny probably thought that all was going well, but that all changed rather quickly when he suddenly heard a terrifying noise somewhere nearby. Have a listen. A lot of people in the comment section are thinking the exact same thing. That noise sounded exactly like it was coming from some sort of skinwalker. Of course, nobody can confirm this for sure, but it is the most popular theory here. Do you guys have any other possible explanations for what Johnny could have heard while in the mountains that day? Was it real or fake? Assuming it was real, whatever was making that noise will hopefully keep Johnny away from these mountains late at night in the future.
This is probably one of the scariest videos I've seen in a long time. So this is Noah. He was on a camping trip one night, and while he was on his way back from said camping trip, he decided to pull off the side of the road and catch some Z's. What ends up happening that night is something so chilling, something so horrifying that you guys probably need headphones for it.
I'm currently sleeping in the back of my truck right now. I don't even know what time it is. And there's someone walking around my truck right now. If you can hear that, it's pretty loud. He's been walking around for like 20 minutes already. He's touching my truck. Still walking around my truck. Try to see if I can flash my light to get him scared. There he is.
Now, from what I understand, the individual knocking on his doors and windows was only there for about an hour and a half, or something like that. But he did finally leave, and Noah was able to get out of there safe and sound.
I just called the police. Get out front of my door. This is the last time I'm gonna tell you. Get out front of my door right now. The police on the way. Go!
Just days after this happened, Jasmine records a video and points out something that makes this whole encounter even creepier.
In the 3 years that I've lived here, I have never seen this door come open. Ever. Like, you can't. But in the video, you saw the door just came open. Who opened the door? Like, look at it. Like, pitch black. Like, make it make sense. Like, how?
This whole occurrence is pretty strange. It's what happens next that's by far the most unsettling. This is where things start to get pretty weird, because after reaching out to property management and getting someone to open up this door, this happens.
Okay, y'all, so property management sent somebody up to come take a look, so I'm gonna let him do what he do, and I'm gonna stay back here. The light works. You say the light works? Y'all, he said the light works. Oh, Lord. What is that? Y'all, what the hell is going on? Y'all see all these little kids? She have put kids' shoes up in there. Those frozen Elsa boots, whatever you want to call it. Those boots are my daughter's.
Did you guys hear about that 911 operator who got a call at 3:30 in the morning from an abandoned funeral home? If you didn't, I'm about to play it for you. But please keep in mind, this is a funeral home where nobody is currently working. Cops drive by it later to see if anybody was there. It's abandoned, the lights are out, nobody's working. And you can just very faintly hear someone talking.
911, this is Erica. How can I help you? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Top 5 government conspiracy theories. Number 5. Secret elites control government policy. The idea that a single, hidden group of powerful people secretly controls government policy and events globally, regardless of who is officially in charge. Number 4. Roswell and alien life. The notion that the U.S. government is hiding evidence of extraterrestrial life, particularly in relation to the alleged crash of a UFO in Roswell, New Mexico. Number 3. NASA moon landing hoax. The theory that the 1969 Apollo 11 moon landing was staged and faked in a Hollywood studio. Number 2. 9/11 was an inside job. The belief that the 9/11 attacks were not solely carried out by terrorists, but were in fact an inside job orchestrated or allowed by the U.S. government. And number 1. JFK assassination cover-up. The idea that Lee Harvey Oswald did not act alone in assassinating President John F. Kennedy, with some believing there was a broader conspiracy involved in the assassination.
It's not so much what is happening in this video that makes it creepy, it's what happened afterward. What you're seeing is entertainment night at the Pavilion in 1978 Jonestown. Watching this performance is terribly unsettling in retrospect, and it goes to show that many of the people who lost their lives here were individuals with talents and dreams. As we know, the fate of Jonestown is nothing short of horrifying.
This is the craziest shit I've seen so far. I was taking the trash out with my son and he kept pointing at the mirror and waving and I didn't know why. So I pulled the camera out and I can't believe I caught this.
That's Rowan.
Who are you?
Huh? Me.
What? What's wrong with you? What?
Took my daughter.
Parker?
Please let me inside.
Parker?
You?
Is it me? It's not me.
It's a motion sensor. There's no one over there. Okay, do it one more time.
Do it one more time, please. So, you're a girl? You're a girl. Are you? She's a girl.
And just for show, let's see if it comes on right here. I'm right here.
Shut up.
Creepy photos that will give 99% of you chills, part 9. All of these self-portraits were created by the same artist who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 1996. From there, you can see how quickly the deterioration was. This is serial killer John Wayne Gacy, also known as the Killer Clown. He used to dress up as a clown and perform at kids' birthday parties. But when Gacy wasn't doing that, he was sexually assaulting and murdering over 30 young boys in just a 6-year span. A couple was enjoying their honeymoon, scuba diving in Queensland. This photo looks normal until you see one of the divers dead in the background, which is Christina Watson. It was said that she went too deep under the water and her husband was unable to save her due to the strong current. But witnesses say that Christina's husband was bear hugging her and pulling her under, and as her body sank, he swam in a different direction. Creepy facts that will give 99% of you chills, part 4. At least once a day, your immune system destroys a cell that would have become cancer if it lived. This is a very scary true fact. The feeling you get in your stomach when you are on a roller coaster is your organs floating around inside of you. So next time you say you enjoy that feeling, you should definitely rethink it. 15% of the matter you breathe in outside is dead human skin. So every time you go outside, you are breathing in some stranger's dead skin. Wasps can remember people's faces. So if you ever get a wasp mad and you run away thinking you're safe, the wasp will remember your face and attack you next time he sees you. As recently as the 1980s, many researchers and doctors believed that babies couldn't feel pain, so they operated on them without any anesthesia.
I wonder what made them think babies couldn't feel pain. Like, they're humans just like us. Like, what do they think? Their nerve endings didn't grow in yet? That's crazy. And yeah, that's a fact. Every time you do go on like a roller coaster or any sort of ride, you really get that stomach feeling. That's really your stomach going up inside you. I was at a water park the other day. I was on this slide that literally drops all the way down like 90 degrees, just like, and I literally felt like my whole stomach and organs going to my lungs. It was the craziest feeling, dude. Like, it's crazy.
Thank you all for watching this here video.